You know, I don't know. I don't know. And actually, I haven't sent out the tweet. Let me send that out real quick. Oh, no, I did send it out. Never mind. Never mind. I was just about to reply to something else. Hey, everybody. How are people doing today? I hope folks are doing well. Sorry, I'm just, did not actually mean to turn the camera on yet. Here we go. Here we go. I just have to do something real quick. And... Cat! What? No, okay, wait a minute. Bear with me, because I have to. My cat it's literally chasing dice across the floor. I'll be right back. Black and white tuxedo cat, black and white fake dice. I love you. Hi. How is everybody doing today? I hope folks are doing well. I'm surviving. I am mostly here. Here we go. Okay. I'm here now. Look at this. Hey, Ken Doyle, welcome in, friend. Hello there. You know, I do need to. I've been meaning to make that an alert, but also I've still yet to fix my goddamn just follow alerts and subscribe alerts and everything. So like, where the hell does the day go? Where the hell do our days go? Yesterday, I had therapy because look at me. Of course I go to therapy. And it was give me a second. I've got to answer something. No, I'm not taking a quick ad break. Gee, what? Why? No ads. Why are there ads? All right, folks, if you're seeing ads, I'm sorry. I'm going to hold off on the ads for a while. But then, you know, that's okay. No ads here. Okay, yeah, it's telling me that ads are running. Like on all my screens, go like ads in progress right now. So I don't know. I don't know what's happening. Because I manually ran the ads when the stream started. I think it's just confused. I think it's because I started running the ads before there were people on stream. I think. Anyway, sorry. I've just got bad timing. I've got to answer a quick question. In a second. Bear with me. I didn't mean to read. Okay, there we go. There we go. All right. Hey, folks. Yeah, stealth ads, I guess, subliminal, right? They're in the timbre of my voice. Also, wait, I just realized, oh my god, nothing is working today. Bear with me just a second. Just a second. No, don't check for updates. Why is everything? There we go. Okay, boom, and almost done. There. No, why is it off? Why is it off? There we go. On. Thank you. Okay, lights are here. I know you all were missing that. Hi, I'm a professional. I skipped a stream for one day. I come back and apparently I forgot how to do everything. That's the level of professionalism we're at today. Anyway, happy Thursday. There was no stream yesterday because I had to take the full day to mentally, spiritually, physically, in all ways really prepare to run my first real, like session 1, not session 0. Session 0 was a couple of weeks ago. I ran the first session for my very first like real paid D&D game / campaign. And while I will be the first to tell you that I wish it wasn't D&D, I wish it was kind of any other game but D&D, but also D&D is the only game that there's people out there willing to pay money to have you run. Like, yes, I don't start playing games. I know I'm working on that too, right? And we're gonna have some Fabula Ultima games up soon and whatnot. But in terms of like, hey, people willing to pay a random dude to go to their house and roll some dice at them, it's just D&D. It's just D&D, and I gotta make rent. I gotta find some way to make rent. But it went very well. I was surprised how well it went. So let's kind of, I'm gonna pull up my notes. I'm not gonna put them on screen because spoilers. I don't think any of my players is watching my stream, but were they to do so, I would not necessarily want to spoil them terribly. But let me pull up my Obsidian here. Kind of open up, go to File, Planescape Campaign Notes. So our players. Actually, I should. Nah, it's okay. So our players were. We've got 4 players. We've got 4 players. I'm not gonna talk about the players. I'm gonna talk about the characters. And the 4 characters is an illusionist wizard, level 3. All 4 are level 3. There's an illusionist wizard, a halfling monk, a Eladrin druid, I think he's Circle of Dreams, and a multi-class rogue bard, 2 levels in rogue, 1 level in bard. Just recently started, barding it up a little bit more. And their whole thing, their whole conceit, they started off in the Forgotten Realms, just traveling along the Sword Coast as a mini traveling circus and entertainers. And so they're trying to use their particular skills as acrobats, illusions, sleight of hand, music, the druid, wild shapes, so trained animals, and as a little traveling circus. That's how they're trying to make their living, and it hasn't been going terribly well for them, right? They're traveling along the Sword Coast. They haven't had a real good gig in a while, and so I started them off with a really very classic, very entry level. Let's get a feel for how these players play, and how and sort of get a feel also like for how combat is going to go. So we started with super classic, right? They were going up and actually this I can't show. Let me see if I can get let me see the browser, and let me get some maps up. Actually, not browser. I should have this. Actually, no, I should have this on PDF. Did I? Bear with me. Ooh, okay, so this is the inn. Well, what's the other one? Do I have the, please tell me I left it somewhere that's easy to find. I did not. I did not. Okay. Okay. Well, anyway, I'll show the map later. I'll show a different map later. But the first map was just a crossroads, just a road along the woods. There was some trees, and the road split into two directions. And in that split, there was a merchant carriage that had camped for the night, and they had been attacked by marauders, a group of marauders, a group of bandits. And so it was a sort of bandit leader and 3 bandit mooks. Not terribly powerful. The leader was pretty tough. The leader had like 65 hit points. I rolled very well for him, the bandit captain. But all the regular like bandits were like CR1 bandits at best. Like they not terribly strong, not terribly powerful. Nothing to worry about. This was just something to get the players warmed up. And they usually say try and start in the middle of the action. And that's what I wanted to do. Like I could have start them in the middle of the fight. But I basically just went like, okay, you're walking on the road, and everybody give me a perception roll. They got a perception. When the bard got like a nat 20, so they immediately heard the sounds of screaming, fighting up ahead, people screaming for help. They tried to sneak up, didn't go that well. The 3 people that were sneaking snuck well enough. The bard did not do any proper sneaking. So instead, the bard approached, and the illusionist cast a group of guards that were coming up with the bard. And while the bandits didn't see through it, the bandit leader was very cocky. I actually kept him busy. I kept the bandit leader off to the side, fighting the lone surviving guard from the caravan. Because he was, like, again, the bandit leader was a stronger opponent. So I didn't want to throw him at the players until I knew how this was going to go. First, I just threw the 3 bandit mooks at the players. And, oh my god, they mowed through them. I'd forgotten that D&D, like, how heroic. The levels of power the characters get, even, like, at 3rd level. Obviously, I had a great fun playing a gnome illusionist way back in the day. Wanted to go full cliche. Yeah, so this is a human illusionist, but he's, I think he's like Fey touched. He's actually like friends with the Eladrin. They technically met in the Feywild, but the illusionist guy never really quite got that. So he in character doesn't realize that he's been like touched by the Feywild, and his Eladrin friend sees no reason to let him know. Anyway, combat went off generally without a hitch, and I quickly discovered that my players are not murder hobos. They actually tried to not kill the bandits. They did kill one when they started. The monk started far away, and even with like monk movement and all that stuff, couldn't really get closer than made it to like 30-25 feet to the bandits. And I was like, okay, I guess I end my turn. I'm like, no, do you have any distance attacks or some weapon? Oh, I got daggers. Threw a dagger, right in a poor bandit's eye. Just rolled very well. So that bandit went down immediately, and it was hard to justify the bandit's survival. The other bandits, though, they made a point of like, no, we knocked them out, and then the bandit leader quickly dispatched the guard, or tried to dispatch the guard. Actually, did a pretty big hit. The guard was down to like 2 hit points, and the players are nice. They like immediately tried to heal the guard, and the guard survived. And the bandit leader, was frustrated by all this, tried to turn to attack the party, rolled horribly. I think he actually critically botched. And just before too much longer, the party had completely tied up and took care of the captain. And it was great because they tried to ask him, like, all right, so are you going to change your ways and not maraud, not hold up any merchants in this area? And they had tied him up, and he was like, no, I'm a destroyer. And they're like, oh, you're not making a good case. Like, fine, I promise not to hold up anymore. And they were like, do you believe him? Like, And so back and forth, they finally decided not to kill him, much to their, what's the word I'm looking for here? Much to their credit, right? And so they left the bandits, surviving bandits, tied into some trees, upside down, no pants, shirts over their heads, just embarrass them. Anyway, I don't think, surely the Crossroads Marauders are never going to be seen again in this campaign, especially the captain will surely not become a long-running, repeated enemy like clockwork, every 3 levels, they have to fight that bandit leader again. Anyway, they rescued the merchants, and the merchants, they found 2 things. They found a note on the bandit leader that was an invitation. It was a note dedicated to the marauders, and it basically said something along the lines of, to the marauders, you're doing good work. Basically, you're doing good work, keep it up, come meet me at the Griffin's Roost Inn. Consider this your invitation. Separate from that, they talked to the merchant and its family that they had rescued, and the merchant is very grateful for the rescue. They all survived, and they paid the party about 20 gold pieces and said, hey, we're actually on our way to the Griffin's Roost Inn, and the least we can do is, pay for a night there. And then they talked to the party, and the party was like, oh yeah, we're entertainers. And oh, hey, great, I know the owner of the Griffin's Roost Inn. I can put in a good word for you. And they're like, hell yeah, let's go. Not only did we do good, rescued some innocent merchants, but also now we got a gig. Now we got a gig. So they go to the Griffin's Roost Inn, and this I want to show the map for. Let me actually go to the game screen. There we go. Oh, cool. That actually picked it up right away. So they traveled for a day or so, right? And because I told them, like, the nearest town, the nearest proper city is about 3 to 4 days away. But the merchant is telling you that this place, the Griffin's Roost Inn, is only about a day's journey away, and that's where they were headed anyway. And they're like, all right, cool. But also this note, and they ask, like, oh, hey, do you know this person? I never heard of that name. Fine. This plot point, by the way, was not resolved, and it's something that I may be picking up later. Also on YouTube, hey Himong, long time no see. Missing quite a lot of your streams these days, but can't help it. Marvel Rivals is doing no worries. I've heard good things about Marvel Rivals. I haven't really had time to give it a shot. The one time I played it, I was not impressed, but I think it's because I chose Doctor Strange and he kind of sucked. I really should try it again at some point. But it's good to see you over on YouTube, Himong. Good to see you. Thanks for stopping by. Always appreciate that. So the party arrives at what looks like an empty meadow, and the merchant is very excited and telling, are you sure you've never been to the Griffin's Roost Inn? And they're like, no. And also at this point they're starting to suspect. They're like, is this merchant actually a bad guy? Like, did we just get tricked? But then they see a speck coming down from the heavens, and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger as it comes down, and they realize that it's actually a giant floating rock, a chunk of land that was up in the sky and has slowly lowered down until, with a crunch, it kind of lands in the meadow where they're at. And from here, so basically this, by the way, these maps are from a Patreon that I subscribe to called Zepeku, C-Z, so C as in cat, Z as in zebra, E-P-E-K-U, Zepeku. And their whole thing is that they make maps. They make very good maps. And every month or every week, I think. And so the maps will have like multiple variations, like day, night, like lighting and stuff. They also make, if you were doing these maps, depending on the level that you back them at, they'll also have like maps with animation and stuff for like virtual tabletops. I cannot recommend the quality of their maps enough. They're really good. They're really good maps. Really imaginative, really beautiful. And you can see, like look at this. Like, it's got the basic, like the main map here, right up in the sky, the island. You've got the underground, like the rooms under it, but also like there's variations, like with a crashed ship, or with a crashed ship like on fire at night. And well, spoilers slightly for what's coming in a little bit, but I'll show you. Anyway, this inn kind of lowers down from the sky, lands, ropes are put out over the side, casual magicians, casual wizards like help lift up with some magic items the carts and the merchandise up here, and they're very impressed, like never seen anything, and they're like, and there's like, so does this place just float around? It's like, no, it just goes up and down. It just goes up and down twice a day. It comes down, picks up supplies, drops off people, picks up people, goes back up. Safest inn and tavern in all the realms, because I mean it's up in the sky. You'd have to like be a griffin or a dragon or something, but I mean, what are the chances? What are the chances? Don't worry, I didn't throw a griffin or a dragon at them. But all that talk, and everybody kept bringing up how this is like the safest inn, the safest tavern you could possibly stay at in all of the realms, because I mean it's not even there 99% of the time. It only touches down for like 10 minutes at a time, twice a day. And while you're up in the sky, nobody can get to you, right? Right, foreshadowing. And so they get in, and of course they meet the owner, who is a mysterious elf, with like magically embroidered clothing and whatnot, and they convince him to like, yeah, let them do a show. So we have a whole little sequence, a fun little sequence where they prep for their show. They get to talk to a couple of people. They talk to the bartender. They get some drinks. They describe what they're gonna do. The monk the monk, for whatever reason, refuses to see. You really don't want to get bounced from there. You're right. The monk refused to do acrobatics, and they were like, "Well, do you want to do like stand-up comedy?" And she was like, "Yeah, sure, why not?" So, their plan was have the monk warm up the crowd with some stand-up comedy, and then the rest of the group would use illusions and music and whatnot to tell a whole tale of nautical terror and an attack on the high seas and whatnot. And before that, the last thing before the performance was that they met an NPC, a tiefling called Kyle Sek. And this tiefling, she was a little nervous, a little jumpy. The monk managed to talk to her and sort of like get her to be chill. And hi, kitty. And after a bit of conversation, the Kyle Sek basically mentions. I described Kaizek as, first of all, a tiefling, which in this world and here in the Forgotten Realms in this area, not the most common. So she was kind of like hiding her hood and whatnot. It also described that she had an accent that none of the players could quite pick up on. It was not an accent that was familiar to them from any of the realms. And she basically hires them, says like, hey, I am. Oh, can I pick up her accent again? Hello, I'm Helsek. It was something like that. She basically hired them to say like, hey, I'm leaving here tomorrow morning. I could use some protection on the road. Would you be available for hire? You seem like capable adventurers. I heard that you helped out that merchant. I could use just some guard duty. That's before we get to the next town. And they were like, hey, cool, we've got a job after this. Awesome, yeah, let's do that. Things seem to be fine. The performance begins. Performance goes great. The halfling monk rolls okay on her performance check for the stand-up, and so at least she didn't bomb, right? She didn't bomb and crash. There was some scattered applause, some light snickering and laughter, enough to warm up the crowd a little. They were like, all right, you don't suck, and get booed off the stage. And then the full performance hit, and they I think they got like a 19, 18 plus something, like it was over 20 once they added bonuses and whatnot. Absolutely stunning performance until all of a sudden, and this is by now, it is nighttime, right? The map has kind of gone dark. I described the sound, a sound of thunder and tearing that's coming from outside, like thunder from a storm, which they had been creating illusions for. But this was much louder and coming from outside. And as they turn, the doors to the inn kind of smashed open, and we move to... Where is it? Here we go. This version here of the map. I chose this one. It's a little darker. And so this version of the map, as the doors open, they see that there's a portal that has been opened. And from that portal come out... And actually, wait, what do I have? Yes, there's the... Give me a second. Bear with me. I feel like I need to actually go to the overhead and show you what these look like. All right. Anyway, we're gonna do the overhead soon anyway. But here we go. Hey. These are not the figurines. I want to real quickly. Also, you can see my cat is just there. Kind of show off. So this was Kyle Sek. This was, I also, by the way, for those of you who don't know, I recently came into possession of a 3D printer, and it made me very, very happy. If I keep looking over my shoulders because I need to see the screen over there, even though my camera is here, so I can show you. Anyway, this was Kyle Sek. She was, or is, I guess, she survived. She is a tiefling wild magic sorcerer that will matter in a bit. And as the party found out later, a native of Sigil, the city at the center of the multiverse where this campaign is actually going to take place. So that's Kajsek, and technically an ally at that moment. And then the bad guys show up. So the bad guys, the first things that come in through the portal are these two friendly little people here. And here we go. So these are, they kind of look like centaurs, but they're not. If you look closer, their bodies are actually goat bodies. So these are a pair of Badiar. Badiar being sort of like half man, half goat from the Elysian Plains. Usually chaotic good, but these are mercenaries from Sigil. Sigil turns everything up on its head, really. Like, just because a creature is good or evil, technically in the monster manual, doesn't stop them from working for whatever faction or being good or evil or chaotic or whatever. Like, there are tendencies, right? But anyway, this pair of Badiar that none of the party really recognized because they've heard of centaurs. They'd never heard of whatever these guys are, right? And they rush out. The Eladrin did recognize it because they are from like his sort of home plane. So recognize that these are Badiar, but didn't recognize, like, well, Badiar are usually like in my home plane. Like, they're very nice. They're chaotic good. They're wanderers, but like they're not usually like decked out mercenaries stomping through inns. So that was, a little clue what was coming, right? And they come in through that doorway. And then behind that, keep in mind, this is a party of third level characters. This is not a fight that they were supposed to get into and win. And they, in their defense, they very much did not. Like the Badiar their stats were like, yeah, the party could have taken these guys. If it came down to a fight, the party could have taken these two guys. I'm less sure that they could have taken this guy. That's the third thing that came through the portal. And this is a Mesoloth. I like to think of them as Hell's stink bugs. They are, again, planar creatures from one of the hell planes. I forget which one exactly. But their whole thing is that they're intelligent, and they have Cloud Kill. Cloud Kill is kind of the main thing. Like they cast Cloud Kill, which is why I say they're like kind of like Hell's stink bugs. So this one also came through behind them and kind of blocked the door while the Badiar started scanning the bar for Kyle Sek, who had first hidden, and then one of the party members actually turned her invisible so the Badiar wouldn't spot her and see her, right? So while this guy is blocking the door, but the door has been kind of blasted open. But meanwhile, the people at the bar freaking out, running, whatever, or hiding under tables as the Badiar come in. And behind all of those, holding the portal open with a shining silver blade, is our main antagonist for at least for this particular adventure, Sarathra, the Githyanki warrior and knight, who actually, based on her armor, and as the party found out later because of how Kyle Sek reacted, a member of the Harmonium, which is one of the factions in Planescape, in Sigil. And so Sarathra did not join the combat, not immediately, because she's a fucking badass. She would have wiped the goddamn floor with our party. She is an enemy, okay? You do not fuck with Sarathra. She will kick your ass. Also, I wish I could paint all these. I'm probably going to end up spending money that I don't have on buying like a mini paint kit, because I really do kind of want to paint more of these. It's awesome being able to just print them out like these. I mean, again, look at this. Look at the detail on these. It's so good. It's so good. It makes me so happy. Let me just check it. Hey, Phoenix, welcome in, friend. Welcome in. So Sarathra stayed back at the portal. For those of you who've forgotten what that portal looks like, let me just kind of show the map real quick again. Again, here we go. So it is It was this one. This is the map that I used. Can I just kind of like zoom in here? Wait, give me a second. Oh, nope. Hi, cat. I see you. I love you. Give me a second. I'm trying to do view mode. Here we go. Single page. There we go. That's the map. That's the map. Maybe this is too big, but but that's the map, right? So this is where Saratra was kind of like holding this portal open with her silver sword. Is that how portals actually work in Planescape and stuff? Not exactly, but also not exactly not, right? This was a portal, and the key to that portal was a Githyanki's silver sword. So long as the sword was in the portal, it remained open. So Saratra remained back here, not joining the combat, just giving orders to the Mesoloth that was here and the Barrier who had kind of come into the bar. By this point, the party was mostly here at the bar. They kind of like leapt off the stage and were here at the bar. Kyle Zek was hiding out here, back here. She was currently invisible and quietly freaking out. And so the two Barrier came along these areas. They were searching for them. They were asking questions. Have you seen? They're describing the tiefling and asking, where is she? Where is she? Bring her out. While the Githyanki Saratra was also like shouting, like, surrender, Kylesbeck. Bring her out, and I will not burn this place to the ground. As they don't cost $20 a piece. Exactly, Potato. Exactly, but they cost like 2 cents to make at most. And so going back to the overhead real quick, here we go. Hey, folks. Also, kitty. There we go. She's going to sniff at Kazek. There we go. So anyway, no, this is not Kazek. Sorry, this is Saratra. Saratra, the Githyanki knight. Kazek is, of course, our erstwhile tiefling wild mage. Anyway, so the Barrier, the two Barrier, they come in, they sweep the place. They do not find Kazek because she's invisible. And the illusionist in the party, because the illusionist isn't the one that made her invisible. The illusionist in the party, it was actually the bard who is shadow touched and has a power of invisibility. She's the one that, he's the one that made Kazek invisible. So the illusionist was free to do something. So the illusionist cast a minor illusion on a door that was on the other side from where they were, and made Kazek's voice kind of like come from there. And so the Barrier were like, I think I heard her, and they rush off and they exit the room, and they can hear the sounds of them like just messing about out there, overturning furniture, destroying things, while the Mesoloth here kind of steps a little further in, like looking suspiciously, its gaze watching around. Around this time, they notice that Kazek is, especially the bard who made her invisible, Kazek is very nervous, jittery, and he hears her say something on the lines of like, I can't stay here, I can't let them take me back, I can't let them catch me. Breaks free, still invisible, and starts messing with a nearby door. They see there's a door that was like half open, and they see the door, rather than opening further to let her through, the door closes, and they hear the sound of like the lock being messed with. They're like, and he's like, she's still like here, like, yes, she's just apparently doing something with the lock while still invisible. And as this is happening, the door frame starts lighting up. Out of character, of course, which Kazek was using an item, a portal key, to open up an impromptu portal. And unfortunately, while Kazek might have been invisible, the portal itself very much visible. So that portal opens, spilling out light and sound and energy and everything. And as this happens, of course, the Mesoloth immediately notices. It goes like, it starts leaping forward. Meanwhile, Satara, who was back here still holding open the portal, presumably so they can go back through it, like screams in rage, goes like, she's getting away, go get her. By now, Kazek has lost her invisibility. So we have, it's obvious that she's there. The Barrier are storming back through the door, kind of getting in each other's way, getting back through the door so they can get in. And combat officially begins, right? At this point, if people roll initiative, she rolled very poorly. She gets to go last. Kazek rolled around the middle of the pack. One of these guys rolled very well, the other one less so. and the rest of the party rolled fairly well. They got to go kind of first. So one of them just immediately went like, portal! I think the Eladrin just went portal and just jumped through. No hesitation, doesn't know where it leads. Fuck it, I'm out. Before even Kailsek could jump through that portal that she had opened, just jumps through. I'm like, cool, awesome. You're effectively out of combat for the rest of this. Let's see what happens next. The rest of the party pretty much proceeded apace. I think one of the barrier got to go before the party tried to do a charge and ram attack on the people at the bar, missed, ended up getting their sword. I think it was actually this one that ran, getting their weapon kind of stuck in the wood of the bar, giving the party a chance to disengage, get away. The other one tried to lob an arrow and actually hit Kailsek. I think did some damage, but not enough to really bother her. And then, because this is a starter level party, not starter level, like third level, but still, these guys, Mesolots, a starting level like either one of these two. Again, the barrier might have been a fair match. Either one of these two would have really fucked up the party's day, like to a major level. Like neither one of these is a CR3 creature, okay? And so I kind of nerfed them a little because I didn't want to destroy the party. And also this was just mostly a way to get the party to Sigil so that we can then, from now on, do Planescape adventures. So the Mesoloth used their Cloud Kill ability, but I basically made it so that rather than Cloud Killing immediately, it took a round. So the first action was kind of like creating this little storm, like, noxious cloud that was hovering above where the party was, but getting bigger and bigger. And it was like, yeah, next round, that's going to effectively take effect and blanket this whole area in Cloud Kill. And the party was like, oh, not sure what to do with that. And then, it was Kailsek's turn. So she's a wild mage. I had her try and cast a counter spell, and but she rolled a wild magic effect. The wild magic effect basically turned that Cloud Kill into a fireball. Thankfully, it was up in the ceiling, so it didn't hurt them, but it immediately set the Griffin's Roost, the whole inn, on fire, making it so really there was nowhere else for the party to go but through that portal behind them. So the whole party starts jumping through. The bard kind of grabs Kailsek and pulls her along through the portal with her. And the illusionist, so the party has a pet sheep. I think I didn't mention that before. They have a pet sheep called Florence. The party's name as a traveling group is, of course, Florence and the Machine. They are the Machine. Florence is a sheep. Anyway, the illusionist grabbed Florence. Luckily, and I was like, that's a big sheep. I'm going to half your movement. And I was like, no worries. I'm still within 15 feet of the portal. Grabs the sheep, jumps to the portal. As the very last one. Everybody else by this point had jumped to the portal. The monk, I think, had had hit one of the barrier or something, and then also leapt to the portal. The bard again had leapt to the portal right after Kailsek. And then the illusionist grabbed the sheep and ran. And so the last thing the illusionist saw was Sarathra screaming in frustration, pulling her silver blade from the portal that she was holding open, and so the portal immediately closes. But she's absolutely enraged. She uses Misty Step on her turn. She did go last. She literally rolled so poorly. Uses Misty Step to get just close enough that then she can use her psychic jump to effectively right at the portal. So the last thing that hi kitty, I see you. The last thing that the illusionist sees before they are overtaken by the portal, hi cat, is this angry. There we go. Let's get it there. There we go. This very, very angry, very, very powerful Githyanki knight running. Actually jumping, leaping through the air, swords out right at them. And just before those swords sort of hit him, taken by the portal. And then, of course, Sarathra, who had I think she jumped. She did the Misty Step to next to the Mesoloth, whispered something to the Mesoloth in Infernal or Abyssal. I forget whichever one of those two is that you need to talk to a Mesoloth, and then did the psychic leap towards towards the portal. So that's the last thing. Then she goes to the portal as well. What happened to the Griffin's Roost Inn, to the 2 Battery Out, and the Mesoloth that were left behind, that burning in up in the sky? Who knows? Who knows? The world may never know. If I guess it depends if the party ever finds their way back to the Forgotten Realms, because now through that portal they've all been pulled into Sigil. That was a one-time thing that Kyle Sek had, an emergency portal to get into Sigil. And they, of course, popped up in the Hive. And so Kyle Sek was there with the whole party, and they're like, oh shit, are we going to have to fight her? And that's when, Saratra was there with the whole party. The whole party was like, well, are we going to have to fight her? And that's when Kyle Sek goes like, you really don't want to do this here. And that's Kyle Sek. Saratra then realizes like, oh shit, I'm in the Hive. I'm a Harmonium member. I cannot start shit here. So it does kind of like a full like villain, like I'll get you next time kind of thing. Like, I've seen all your faces. The Harmonium will not let you rest, and flees the scene, leaving the party with Kyle Sek, who kind of like gives them the very brief welcome to Sigil. You're clueless as fuck. Don't let anybody find out you're clueless. The first thing you need to know is stop asking so many questions. Things just are the way they are. Welcome to Sigil. You're kind of fucked now. Not my fault, but also kind of my fault. So here's a little bit of like, here's the instructions to get to the Smoldering Corpse Bar, and tell them Kyle Sek sent you. They'll give you, they can put it on my tab, and they'll give you at least a place to crash for the night while you figure your shit out. But other than that, y'all ain't my responsibility. I'm outie. And that's basically where we ended the session, with the party having just arrived at Sigil through no fault of their own, just by trying to not let a stranger they had just met get kidnapped by multiple, trans-dimensional beings. And now they are in Sigil, the City of Doors, with no idea how to, or if it's even possible, to get back to their homes in the Forgotten Realms. And that was the first session, and I think it went very well. I think it looked like the party had a lot of fun. Got very good feedback. Also, I made custom minis for each of the players, and they absolutely loved those. And I just saw on the chat that they're apparently going to get together in a couple of weeks, because the next game is going to be I think, either twice a month or potentially even weekly. Depends on how people's schedules work out. But the next game is a little delayed because a couple of people are traveling. So the next game is going to be in nearly a month, unfortunately. But before that, they're actually going to get together one Saturday and have a little mini painting party with their custom minis. They're going to paint their custom minis. I'm excited to see what the players do with that. Anyway, that's the postmortem for that first session. I think it was a lot of fun. It definitely, even from the beginning, had high fantasy, literally high, with floating Griffin's Roost and all that, and then the description of when they came into Sigil and how disorienting, how strange, and how alien it is, the way the streets kind of like curve up into the sky, meet up, because you're on the inside of a giant donut, effectively. It was a good time. It was a good time. I'm very excited. Again, I do wish we were playing anything but D&D, but if we are playing D&D, then hell yeah, at least I'm doing Planescape, where I get to do all the high weirdness, which, hell yeah, I love that. I absolutely love that. All right, so with that, let me go back here just for a second. That was, sounds like a really fun involved session. That was like 3 hours. 3 hours, just pretty constant, pretty quick, pretty solid. I'm excited for the next one, and also like people gave me some pretty good backstory stuff that I already have a lot of notes for. So again, I wish it was a D&D, but at least it's the kind of D&D that I'm having a lot of fun with. And honestly, it's almost to the point where it's almost making me get over myself in the whole SPG thing. StartPlayingGames.com, where I've been wanting to post games. And the main thing is like, I don't want to post D&D games because that's what everybody does there, right? My interest is in playing other games besides D&D. But kind of running this game made me go like, okay, but what if I get to run D&D my way, right? What if I get to like play in Planescape, do the high weirdness part of it, like have that experience, and it's still D&D, but a little bit of house rule here, a little bit of house rule there. So like with the right set of players, right, it can be a lot of fun. So now I'm seriously considering offering a Planescape campaign or two on Start Playing Games as well. And who knows? Maybe those will get a little bit more interest than the other ones that I posted before, because it's very hard to get players for games that are not D&D. So hard. I wish it wasn't. I wish the other games were more of an option, but also I need to make rent. I cannot allow. I'm already like, being an asshole and refusing to get a quote unquote real job so that I can try and make a living at this. And by the way, like, no guarantee. Like, if I am not making at least rent in another 2 months, shit's gonna get weird. So I'm already kind of doing that, going like, no, I don't want to just get a real job. Quote unquote, I want to do this. This makes me happy. This makes me fulfilled. I put so much time and effort. My players enjoy it. Why shouldn't I be able to make a living out of this, right? So that's what I'm trying to do. And if that's the case, then yeah, I'm gonna play the games, offer the games that offer me a better chance of at least paying my bills, right? So with that said, D&D is never going to be my focus, but I'm probably going to offer some D&D adventures to see where that goes. I also just like, once DC 20 comes up with at least 0.9, and from like the live stream that I think they had a night or two ago, it looks like they're really close. I also want to try that, but in the meantime, whatever, D&D 5.0, sure, let's go. All right, folks, we are still 15 minutes away from the next ad break, but I need to step away for just a second, and then we're actually going to talk about what the stream is about, which was the Orpheus Protocol. I just wanted to do the quick postmortem. I just need to step away real quick for a bathroom break. I will be back in less than a minute, all right? So bear with me. I will be right back. All right, we're back. Sorry about that, folks. Sorry about that. I needed to be dealt with before we could go further. Anyway, let's get to it. Let's get to the actual stream. Also, took a moment to move a screen over to there, so now when I'm on the overhead, I'm not like looking over my shoulder every 5 seconds to check the screen. Although I might be looking over my shoulder to check the cat. Actually, before we move to the overhead, just because you aren't here looking for a baby girl, sweet baby girl. The stream demands kitties, and I deliver. This is my child, my beautiful daughter. She is. Look, you can see we have the same color fur. Mine's a little whiter. Hers whiter under there. Mine's a little whiter, but still a little bit of black still in there. So that's how you can tell that we are related by blood. This is my biological child here. She's filled with so much rage, so much rage. She's like, Father, Father, release me. Okay, I'm gonna put you down. There you go, sweetheart. There you go. Anyway, let's get to the overhead because we actually are here to talk for a couple of minutes before the proper ad break hits us, I guess, about... What? Stop that! No! Jesus Christ, Cat! Stop it! Immediate revenge, immediate vengeance from the cat as she just started clawing at my backpack. I love her. I love her so much. Again, she is my flesh and blood child. That is why I love her. Oh, hey, that's my phone on camera. Let's take that off. There we go. All right, cool. I can see chat there. I've got a camera here. I've got a whole bunch of minis that have nothing to do with the Orpheus Protocol. Let's get you all out of the way as we go back to looking at this game. Afraid you have to go lurk for a while? No worries, no worries. Lurk away. I sincerely appreciate the lurk energy. I myself am a constant lurker on many streams, so... I just like seeing that little number of viewers at the top not go down. It makes me happy. So please, lurk away. Now, where did we leave off with the Orpheus Protocol? Oh, by the way, I tried to... Oh, these are some... Oh, I should throw these out. Remind myself this is trash. There we go. That's how I remember that it's trash. But I tried to print out the maps for combat last night. And honestly, weirdly enough, this looks better on camera. I'm looking at it right now. It looks better on camera than it does in real life. In real life, these are nigh unusable. Also very small, turns out. Look at this grid size. Look at the mini size. Look at the size of the grid on this. Like each mini is like 4 grid squares. So I would have had to double this to get the proper scale, because otherwise, like, the characters are giants. But also, like, it's again, it looks better on camera. In person, I mean, you can see here with the green, like, yes, it's supposed to be dark, but it's so faded. Like, maybe if I had glossy paper, they would have come like this. Look at this. You can barely see. Well, again, on camera, it might look better, but still, yeah, it's amazing that it looks so much. And it doesn't look great on camera, but it looks better. Like, there is more definition on these tables. In real life, you can barely see them. I think it's the cameras are doing something. The cameras are like bringing out highlights that aren't really there. So it's a shame, because I really wanted to like have the maps actually printed out for the game, and I wasn't able to because I'm not comfortable. Like, people are paying for me for this. Like, I'm not comfortable with that. Again, maybe if I had some glossier paper, or also just a printer that was good. Which is a big ask these days, because printers are not good anymore, if they ever were, I think. I mean, I could also just, like, this is a paid game. I can reinvest a little bit of that into, like, getting maps, you know, the couple of maps that I plan to use that session, like, printed out at, like, a Staples or something at an actual decent quality, right? I might have to look into that, see how much it is, see if it's worth it, right? But at the same time, the players like seem to really enjoy, and also, like, with the 3D printer, I might be able to just print out some terrain. Like, I wonder if it's. I mean, it probably should be. Like, in fact, maybe an even better choice to spend money on than the 3D than the colored maps printing would be purchasing and taking the time to print out like one of those big like terrain selections, like one of those like dungeon blocks kind of things. Just have those so I can like modularly build that. Like, I'm thinking about that because I do want to provide that experience, right? Again, I want to do something like that. There's some awesome terrain and set pieces you can exactly. Like, I need to. I already saw. I saw one that I was like this close to picking it up. That had like, it was like a modular kind of like dungeon thing, and I might still pick it up, because like the idea of just being able to like print all those out and just have them ready. And if I need the beauty of that, right, is like if you purchase a pre-made kit, right, then you are limited to what the kit brought, right? So if for whatever reason you need more of a certain type of tile, you can't get, you would have to buy the entire kit again, right? Or hope that maybe they sell the individuals or whatever. Here, like, oh, I need twice as many of this particular tile. I just print what I need. I print either as much or as little as I need, right? So it's a good idea. Hey, PB, welcome in, friend. Welcome in. I hope you continue. I know it's been a long and slow recovery on your end. I hope it has continued. I hope you're feeling better still. It's great to see you. It's great to see you. You missed a whole post-mortem about my D&D game that I ran yesterday, which was a lot of fun. I got to run Planescape, and honestly, it went very well. I think for the players, they had a lot of fun. On chat, they seemed very, very happy. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited about the next one. Again, I just got them into Sigil. I think there's probably going to be a slight time skip. You know what? We're going to talk about Orpheus, I think, after the break, because it's going to be, ads are good. Like, I have to go to ad break in like 3 minutes, so I'm still talking about D&D. Okay, so you know what? Since I'm still talking about D&D, and we have PB, who, you know what, PB, personal friend here, so I'm just going to take a moment to show off the minis that we use for combat, because they were great. They were great, right? We had, first of all, an NPC ally, kind of. There we go. Who's a tiefling wild magic sorcerer. Her name is Kyle Zek. She's the one whose fault it is that the party is now in Sigil. And then we had the people that were hunting after Kyle Zek. We had a pair of Barriar. The Barriar are goat man mercenaries. So we had this pair of goat men, goat centaurs, goat taurs, if you will, that came through a portal, and the party had never seen these because in Forgotten Realms, Barriar are not really a thing. Behind those two was this handsome fellow, a Mesoloth, who is again Hell's stink bug, because their main thing is like they are either a demon. I forget which one they're, a demon or devil, but they're from one of the Hell dimensions, and their main thing is that they cast Cloud Kill. So Hell's stink bug, also way more powerful than the party was. The party's a bunch of level 3s. This thing is like CR 8 or something, and not to be outdone. This was the leader of that group that was all chasing after this poor innocent tiefling. A Githyanki knight / warrior who works for the Harmonium, one of the factions in Sigil, who single-handedly would have wiped the floor with that party, right? The only ones that the party really engaged with directly were these two Barriars. These were a fair match for the party. The party would have won a fight against just these two guys. These two guys and this guy, almost certainly not. These three guys and the Githyanki knight leading them would have been a full party wipe. But this was not this was a set piece battle. This wasn't the kind of battle that the party was designed to like get down and rumble, and they very quickly picked up on that. They were like, oh shit, horrible creatures from beyond reality just stepped through a portal into the bar here, and we're fucked. Oh hey, Kyle Sek, somebody else just opened a different portal, and the bar is now on fire because this one tried to do their cloud kill thing. This one cast magic. It went wild, and it turned the cloud kill into a fireball, which set the bar on fire. So they had no choice but to go like, hey, I just opened a portal to who knows fucking where, and the party was like, cool, we out, and they all jumped to the portal, and everybody here except for this one got stuck behind in the Forgotten Realms. So there's a bar on fire and some interdimensional interlopers somewhere in the Forgotten Realms. Sorry, Forgotten Realms. Our party is now in the center of the multiverse in Sigil. And so this one, Sarathra, the Githyanki, she leapt through the portal with them and followed them, and then realized, oh shit, I'm in a bad neighborhood. I can't afford to start a fight here, and went away. And the tiefling was like, that was great. Hey, party, thanks for that. Thanks for saving me and helping out and whatnot. But also, y'all ain't my responsibility. Nobody told you to leap through the portal. So bye. And kind of just fucked off. She'll be back. We're going to see Kyle Sek again. Don't worry. But now the party, a bunch of third level adventurers from the Forgotten Realms who were just trying to be a traveling circus, ended up are now on the streets of Sigil with 20 gold pieces to their name, nowhere to stay, and no idea how or even if they can ever get back to the Forgotten Realms. And that's basically where we wrapped up the adventure, and it was a hell of a lot of fun. I think the party enjoyed it, so I had a good time. I had to go. For anybody else on chat who already heard all that and the full detailed one, this was a condensed version because I just wanted to share with PB, because PB is good people, and I wanted to show off the minis. I found out really quick that being here for a good time, not a long time, exists on its own timeline. Precisely so. Precisely though. Now, with that in mind, hey, it's time for ads once again. The ad is starting, whether I wanted to, in about 3 minutes anyway. So even though I don't want it to, we gotta do this. We gotta submit to the ad gods, or else they may open a portal and suck us into a dark reality from which there is no escape. So instead, I open a portal and send you there gently into sort of a dim reality from which there will be an escape in about 3 minutes. But in order to do that, we'll have to be right back. And we're back. Hey. Welcome in. Just catching up. No, Curses does not show during ad time. That's fine. I'm going to trigger it manually for you because I think it probably just triggered quietly in the background.
Curse you all!
There you go. Welcome in, friend. And hey, I'm glad you like the transition. I'm a big fan of it myself. I think I'm going to keep that one for a while. I still haven't fixed anything else like the follow-on notifications or anything, but you know, one thing again, where does the time go? Where does the time go? I feel like I don't even wake up late. I wake up, 7:30 a.m., right? So it's not the earliest, but also so I don't have to wake up any earlier than that. 7:30 a.m. is usually when I wake up. These streams start at 2 p.m. There's like hours and hours between that, right? Like 5-6 hours between waking up and doing these streams. Yet somehow there's just no time in the mornings to do anything, much less work. I mean, I do stuff in the mornings. I work out, I have breakfast, and I'll have lunch before the stream. I'll do some errands and stuff. I usually have to like leave the apartment for a moment to like pick up groceries or whatever. The point is, like, my mornings just disappear on me, and I get here just in time. It's like, all right, I got to stream in 5 minutes. Hence why I have not. And then I finish the stream, and I just need to step away. I've been screaming at a microphone and a camera for like 4+ hours on average. And I need to step away. So my first instinct is not like, all right, let's buckle down and fix this shit. So I will fix this shit eventually, just not today. Hey, hi. Oh, okay. So the curses that you triggered are still here. Let me fix that one there. There we go. You know what? I'll do it again manually one last time.
Curse you all!
There we go. Just to reset it, shall we? All right. Let's. But it stays up for whatever reason. When I trigger it on this screen, it doesn't hide away again. That's so weird. I've got to fix that. All right. Cool. Let's get back to it. So finally, after going on about doing the postmortem on last night's D&D game, which honestly went very well, and I'm very excited for more Planescape in the coming weeks and months. Hopefully, this will be a long-term campaign for my players. See, it's old age. We stress less about time as we come to terms that we have less of it. I mean, it's true. It's true. Like I'm the only reason I'm stressed about time is because as time passes, rent fucking comes due, and that's it. Other than that, I'm fine with letting time pass. Anyway, folks. Oh, by the way, Potato, I mean, you're not watching probably by now. I doubt you hung on this long just to wait for me to come back and then keep yabbering. But just in case, Potato, thanks for hanging out. Always appreciate it. No worries if you have to go early. I hope to see you again on our next stream, which will be most likely tomorrow. Well, today, we're going back to our second part of our first look. By the way, thank you to the commenter on the YouTube who left a comment on my second Triangle Agency video saying like, hey, maybe you should change the title to make it clear this is a part 2. You're right. I should have. That was my bad. Thanks for the reminder, and also that's why the title for this stream has a part 2 on it, because yes, you wanna set them apart. Problem is, I don't always know how many parts a video will take, so I kind of forget about that. Because as those of you who've been here before know, the rate at which I go through these books is very slow at best. And in this book, I think this is basically where we left off. Yeah, we had this whole defense on their philosophy about horror, which I really liked just all the way here. So now I have one. Even when I'm on the overhead, I can just kind of like reach down and go like,
curse you all!
And do that, even if it doesn't hide it again after. Why doesn't it hide it again after? Maybe at least I can do this. There we go. Which, to be fair, this part of the book, in fact, did deserve that. Oh, wait, one last thing over here. There we go. So I can make sure I see my stream. There we go. Okay, beautiful. Now I've got everything all in one place. But yeah, no, I'm afraid this like old age. Doesn't help. It doesn't help. Time just goes away. But unfortunately, I do stress about it. I wouldn't say I necessarily stress about it less. So where we left off is we're going to look at the social influence part of this game, which it's interesting that there's like, let's see, there's how much of it is in here. Okay, so it's a short. I thought it was going to be a longer chapter, although this art is kind of cool. Sad that the let's see if how visible is it? Let me see if I turn off if I take off the overhead light here. Like maybe? No, it's a little too dark, I think. It's just I don't like the shine. I don't like the shine from the lights, but whatever. We'll deal with it. It's fine. It's fine, Dan. Get over yourself. Anyway, cool art. Dope. No worries. but yes, they did sort of make a point of saying that social sort of influence, conflict, whatever, is one of the core pillars of this game. Let's see if we can find where they actually reference that, right? They said here at the beginning, the fundamentals of the game. Here we go. Investigation, social influence, and combat. Those are like the three main things. So social influence, combat will go after social influence. So everything that we've done so far is kind of like the core rules, and within that, I guess, is where we're gonna, get most of the investigation. And then we've got, we did some basic character creation, which is mostly principles, bonds, things that define your character. We've got 6 stats. We've got some derived attributes. We've got, oh my God. I hate every time I do this. It's twice now, then it's both times it's happened on stream where I will do this and accidentally slightly tear a page. I hate that. Okay, fine. Dan, chill. We saw the skill system, which is interesting, actually. So there's a couple of things before we actually hop into the social mechanics. I do kind of want to shout out the stuff that I really liked from what we've seen so far in the core rules and in the sort of basic character creation. So core rules are not terribly complicated. There is a point of confusion, though. One thing is, like, basically the core rules are, it's a d6, but if you look here at this table, basically instead of d6, honestly, that's probably how I would play it, just for ease, is you're rolling 3d6, right? Normally you would roll 3d6 like so, and you would look at these, you would look at your results and go, for example, okay, that's a 4, a 6, and a 2. Perfect. We got the full range. So the 2 is a -1, the 4 is a 0, the 6 is a +1, making your roll a 0. And if you roll differently, here we go. So like 6, 3, 3. So both of these are 0. This is a 1, so +1. That's your basic roll here. So this is a +1, -1, so 0. Most of your rolls just from doing this are gonna be zeros. This one's a +2 actually. That's a really nice roll. But with these mechanics, you can really get away with just using fate dice, because that is what this is. Again, 0 results. They cancel each other out. -1. Yep, these two cancel each other out, leaving a -1. They're honestly even easier to read. So, holy shit, that's the best possible roll you can get in this game. So, if you are playing this game, even though it's not officially like a recommendation, but if you have fate dice, they're a perfect match for the basic mechanic. So the mechanic is you will add your base stat, which, as we saw in character creation later, is your perception, focus, dexterity, vitality, charisma, or willpower. That's your sort of your base score, and then you're trying to roll against a specific difficulty, and it gives you a little table here with some sample difficulties to reach for, which are, it's just off camera there. And then you have skills. So basically, if you have and so your stats usually go from 0 to 6. They're not really going to go a lot higher than that. So if you have a 6 on a stat and no skill to go with it, then the best you can probably hope for is to beat a difficulty value 9 roll. So you're kind of limited as a human being as how far you can kind of do things. And you would think, okay, so how do skills work? Would your level of skill adds another point up to the dice? That's what I thought it was going to be. But in fact, what it does is you have, first of all, 2 things. You have a resource called Strain. Strain is one of the 2 core resources that players must manage in the Orpheus Protocol. And it's got all sorts of uses. The more strain you have and the more strain you take, the more you can kind of do things. It can be used to improve check scores, break check ties, avoid damage that you'd otherwise take, and occasionally to do some other cool stuff as well. Strain is a limited resource, and it comes in 3 separate pools: mental, physical, and spiritual. This may sound very familiar to like Numenera and Cypher system players as well. You've got like dice, pools of points around each attribute. But as opposed to in Numenera, where those points are also effectively your health points, in here it's just strain. It's how much you can kind of push that particular skill, that particular action, or I guess attribute. But where it becomes interesting is when you actually see what the skills are and how they work. So later on in character creation, when we get to the skills, I saw this skills and skill ranks, and I went on a whole rant about trash anime. And I say trash lovingly, as a trash anime connoisseur. I watch some really trash anime, the kind of stuff that I really should be embarrassed to admit that I've watched. By the way, PB, this was for you. I watched the first couple of episodes of that anime where the dad gets isekai'd into an otome game. For people who are not anime, I just went literally into a whole other language. I may have well just had a minor stroke, and it does kind of sound like that, honestly. But yes, this 52-year-old dad gets isekai'd into his honestly grown ass daughter's game. Like, I think she looks like she's got to be in her late teens, if not like just a stay at home like young adult. Really, like, she does not look like a little girl. Which I appreciate. Not enough anime makes people look their age. And he gets isekai'd and he dies saving a child. Very heroic. I love him. He's the best character, by the way. He's so good. He's such a great dad. He's so good. And he becomes reincarnated as the villainess of this otome game. Otome games are basically dating games for dating visual novels, primarily aimed at a female audience, right? And where you have like a whole bunch of pretty boys, usually a lot of bishonen, that you get to choose from and date and whatever. And there's usually a character that's a villainous, that's kind of like a rival or whatever in the game. So the dad gets reincarnated as the villainous of this game, which is its own genre of anime. There are so many isekai shows about, they're usually directed at a female audience, just like that, just like the isekai where I'm an adventurer and now I'm the biggest dick adventurer of all because my secret big dick skill makes my dick big, and all the ladies love that. I believe that is the exact title of the series. The ones for like, oh, I died and became the villainess in my favorite dating game kind of genre, mostly aimed at female viewers. Anyway, it's all played for laughs, but also very heartfelt because he really is the best dad. He's so good. I'm loving that series. Highly recommend. I get it if you don't want to see it, PB. I get it. It is taking the piss out of the genre, but it's honestly done well. I'm having a lot of fun with it. I'm only 2 episodes in, but I'm having a lot of fun with it. I will continue to report back on that. Anyway, there was a whole digression into trash anime because of these skill ranks, so the C, C, B, A, and S. And I was like, if you're not aware of this, if you're not a weeb, you are unlikely to know why. Like, ranking the top rank as S is not familiar to non-weebs, as I learned last weekend when trying to explain to Dave about some of the trash anime that I watch. I won't go into the whole rant again because it's embarrassing, and also it's on video. You can just watch yesterday's stream. But so I was ready to complain. By the way, Arbalest, hey, welcome in, friend. I did get your email yesterday about all the models and everything. I downloaded them. Haven't printed any out. I haven't had time because yesterday I was busy. I had to get all these little guys and throw them at my players and make them fucking sweat when they saw a monster that would have single-handedly wiped out their whole party, and then the monster's boss, who would single-handedly wipe out the whole party twice, just come out of a portal at them while they were just honestly trying to have a social scene. It was a good time. But also because of that, I haven't really looked at all the stuff you sent me. But I will. Oh, friend, I will. But before, so I was ready to complain about this, but it turns out that this game actually is doing one of the most interesting things I've seen with skills in a long while. As soon as we got to this page, I have to go like this because holy shit, this is I really like. I mean, it remains to be seen in practice how well it goes, but look at what the skills do. Right at their first levels, right, rank D and C, the simplest ones, at the lowest ones. They give you the ability, so they don't by themselves bump up your results, but they give you the ability to spend up to 2 and a rank C up to 3 strain, so those are the resources that we just mentioned, to then boost your rolls. So let's say, for example, we had that earlier skill, right? And we had a skill that's at 4.
or rather an attribute for that, for whatever roll we're making, that's at 4. That means that the best we can hope for with no other modifiers would be, I'm going to re-roll this. I'm going to just manually go like, this is the best. So 4 plus 3. Like, that's the best roll. So the best you could possibly do on a roll without having a skill is that 3 higher than your base skill. So with a 4, for example, which is a very good skill, again, they tap out at 6, so 4 is very good. That means anything that's difficulty 7 or higher, I think difficulty 8 or higher, I think. Wait, no, in this one, I believe if you meet the difficulty, it's not enough. Let me confirm that. Opposed checks, the attribute results of dice faces, or samples, or reaction time, the outcome of the sense, and how well your score stacks up the difficulty. Wait, why does it not literally say? Skill check to determine the outcome. You begin with score 0, you roll 3d6, then you add your attribute, because it's probably defined over here in the difficulty values. You're going to impose your score as compared to the DV if your score is equal to or greater. Okay, so if you match it, so basically anything that's difficulty 7 or better, you would be able to do, right? I just wanted to confirm, because I was looking at another game recently that was like, no, it's you have to beat the score. If you meet it, it's not enough. You have to beat the score. This one is meet or beat. I heard it when I said it. Anyway, so if you normally 7 is the highest you would be able to do. Anything that's difficulty value 7 or higher, or 8 or higher, you would not be able to do that. If you have a rank D skill, however, that applies to that, then now you have the option. You can spend strain to bring that up from a 7 to an 8, or to an 8 from a 9, a maximum at rank D, or if you have rank C, spend the 3rd strain, bring that up all the way to a massive 10, which, to be fair, given the difficulty values that we're given here, 10 is like anything that's 10 or higher is Herculean tasks even a trained person could not handle without stupendous luck, right? So even though this difficulty scale goes up much higher, really, you're rarely, if ever, going to have difficulty values this high, just based on these descriptions. Usually you're going to be like here, with a few easy rolls here, and a few difficult rolls here, and just the rare super hard roll, at least until your character is more powerful. But, oh, there goes the die. Get over here. Let me rescue that, because if not, the cat's going to find it later. Where'd it go? Dice, did I kick you? Did I? How did that happen? Wait a minute. Bear with me, folks. It just fell into the black hole. It was here a second ago. Oh, there it is. I'm a professional. A professional at work. It doesn't help that this is vaguely wood colored, so it just melded into the floor. Anyway, we get to rank B, and all of a sudden, you see how much bigger this is? Wait a minute, what just happened here? We've got options. So you still have the strain thing, right? But we've got, and it doesn't quite say it, but I'm assuming that each rank also gives you the benefits of the previous ones. In fact, let me double check. Maybe it does say it. Your kind of common skills can also be improved, or not? When skills improve, its rank is replaced by the next highest rank. Character can improve its skill. Not entirely sure if it does or does not say it, but I'm going to assume, and that's how I would run this game, and I assume that's what's the way it's meant to be, which is that each rank also gives you the benefits of the previous rank, unless they're already covered. Like, for example, rank D to rank C is just an improvement. But then rank B, I'm assuming, because it doesn't mention that you may spend strain to boost rolls specifically. It has this new separate mechanic for spending strain. I'm going to assume that you get the benefits of the previous stuff. So in addition to now being able to spend up to 3 strain to boost my rolls, rank B now gives me a whole bunch of extra options that I can do with that skill. For example, I could spend 1 strain of the relevant pool to reduce the initiative cost of an action by 1. You can use this feature once per scene. Each action has an initiative cost. By spending that, you get to do them quicker. So again, that's something that, because you're better at this skill, you can spend a little bit more effort to do it quicker. You can also re-roll 1 check per scene with this skill because you're rank B. And once per scene, when using a passive attribute, evade, parry, vigilance, or wariness, you may roll a luck check. Luck checks are basically, and they're explained back here. We'll kind of look at them very quickly. Where'd you go? Where'd you go? It's in the. Here we go. Luck checks. Luck checks are a special attribute called luck. Luck is basically over here. It's basically just a straight roll, and you roll. So that's the most neutral roll of all. So basically, nothing good happens, nothing bad happens. But depending on your results, for example, this would be again a 0. 99% of the time when you make a luck roll, nothing is going to happen. But again, cancels each other out. There we go, a +1 in this case. Slightly favorable result. So this is like a huge bell curve. It's like, like where this whole part here is just 0. That's just how the mechanics work on this. Again, and then I think 90% of the results. I mean, this is don't quote me on this. I flunked out of statistics, but in the way of how it feels, 90% of the time, nothing, and then another 5% of the time, one of these two, and then the last 5% of the time is split between all of these, including these, which are like maybe 0.1% of the time they happen, right? So, anyway, that's a luck check. Rank B lets you make a luck check. If the result of the luck check is positive, you apply its score as a bonus to your passive attribute for this check. If the luck check is negative, you keep your original unmodified value for your passive attribute. In both cases, you may still further modify your passive attributes with other skill features, blah, blah, blah. Use of this luck check counts as having used a re-rolling skill feature above. So basically, with rank B, you don't just like in most games where as you rank up and level up a skill, all you really get is, one more die to roll or one more point to add to your total, which does make you, quote unquote, better at the skill. But I like that this, as you go up in level, in rank of skill, what instead it gives you is more opportunities and more different ways, because you are more capable in which to affect your roll. So here you can choose one of two things. You can either basically once per scene, re-roll that check, or if it's a passive attribute evade, parry, vigilance, or wariness, you have this option. You can say like, hey, I want to roll luck, and then roll that. And if it's like this, oh boy, yeah, that would have been a bad luck roll. But because of this, it just means like, okay, nothing happened. I took a chance. It's once per scene. You might as well take it, right? But if you roll well, which I'm not. There we go. You roll at least well enough to get something, then that bonus gets added to your roll. So it's basically like the fact, how like luck favors the bold and the experienced. Well, yeah. So that's kind of that effect there. And then we bump up to rank A. Rank A is shorter, but still. Now you have the option to, with a rank A skill, spend 1 strain to ignore all negative dice rolled on checks with this skill until the next round. That's dope. Because you can spend strain to boost up your levels, but let's say you roll, okay, so this is a good roll, but let's say, for example, you rolled this. 2 negatives, one positive. Not only would these normally cancel each out, but you would have been left with a negative. You can, by spending a single strain, basically ignore these two, turning what would have been a -1 to a +1. For the cost of a single strain, where normally, in order to do that with the previous ranks, you would have spent 1 strain to effectively +1, so effectively cancel 1, spend a second strain to cancel the other one. So it's a cheaper way. I mean, again, depends on or there may be, like, again, same roll. There may be situations where this is less expensive, many situations where just do one of these because you only need one. But I like that you have that option. It's something that as a rank A skill, you get to have that option. And then outside of combat, you may take a +1 in lieu of rolling dice with this skill, or in lieu of results of a luck check granted to a relevant passive attribute once per scene. So that's kind of like the equivalent of like taking a 10, taking a Benny. Like if you're good enough at that skill and the difficulty, let's say you are, again, your attribute is 4, and so basically any rolls that, if your attribute is 4 and that's related to that skill, any rolls that are difficulty value 5 or less, you can simply, once per scene, doesn't even cost you anything. You don't have to spend anything. Just once per scene, you can go like, you know what? I don't want to roll on that one. I have a 5 because I have my base score is 4 and I have a rank A skill, so effectively I have a 5. So that's the one time where it kind of functions as the classic like +1 to a result, but it's specifically, like it's not a +1 to a roll. It is just like, no, if the number is less than this, I just succeed. So it's more powerful than it kind of sounds like. And then finally, rank S, which, as any good weeb can tell you, is the best rank. S is for super. So once per scene, gain 3 temporary strain that must be spent on checks or values using this skill, and thus cannot be used to reduce incoming damage. These strain last until the end of the scene. So basically, you get 3 points per scene at no cost. It just happens per scene for every skill that you have at rank S. You're not going to have a lot of skills at rank S. In fact, based on how I saw the costs are, I think you usually will have like 1 skill at best at rank S. But if you have multiple, then it'll apply to all of them. Basically, for every skill that you have at rank S, anytime you start a scene, you have 3 temporary strain points kind of tied solely to that skill. So anytime you use that skill, you don't have to spend your built-in, your real strain points. You just have a bigger pool from which to pull for that skill to modify your rolls. That's dope. That's really dope, because again, you can use that. You can basically just turn that into a basic +3, which is very good in this system, right? But they are temporary strain. You can use them to do this, or you can use it to re-roll. Well, actually, no, the re-roll doesn't even cost a strain. So you could have it. So a rank S skill, right? You could have the skill. You could make the roll. Let's say we made the roll and we rolled very poorly. We're like, oh shit, that sucks. Wait, I have a rank S skill. Before I even look into this, I go like, okay, well, I could spend 3 strain, right, at these lower levels and kind of take that away, but maybe that's not good enough. Maybe I can just re-roll just one time. Just try it. Then we re-roll. Jesus Christ. Never mind, right? Okay, so that sucked for us. But with that in mind, with that said, we're like, well, you know what? I still have 2 more options, right? So I can either, with these 3 temporary strain that I have here, eliminate these 3 one by one. So spend all 3 for +1, +1, +1 and make these go away. Or for the cost of 1 single strain, which I have temporary ones, 1 single strain, I ignore all these minuses. I still have 2, which I can then go to basically turn this -3 into a +2 because I spent them here. Like, that's, again, in this system, very powerful. Makes it like, and then the final, outside of combat, you may take a +2, same thing as before, but even better, right? It's if my attribute +2 is equal to or less than a difficulty, then once per scene outside of combat for those, I can just take that. And then not even counting the whole luck thing if it's a passive attribute. Again, that only applies there. Point is, I really like how this game does this. I really like that it starts off simple, but then again, it kind of reflects that the more you know about a skill, the greater your level of understanding and I guess skill within that skill. It's not just a simple boost to your stat, to your roll, a +1 per level, which is what most games will give you, but it opens up a whole breadth of new options that you can do with that skill that reflect your particular increased level of expertise, that lets you do things that people at lower levels simply cannot, because they do not have the expertise in those skills that you have. Again, one last time, I really like this system. I really like what it's doing here. I'm not sure that I would take it as written into anything else necessarily. I would really have to play with this to see how it feels, but I love the idea of it. I love the idea that they are using here. They're pushing out here with these skills. And then we have, the skill list, and they have the attributes that are normally associated with those. There's a whole thing about combat skills as well, and crafting knowledge skills. Nothing crazy there. There's this little division between occult versus eldritch knowledge, which are 2 separate skills. You've got occult knowledge skill, and you've got I think eldritch isn't here. I think eldritch isn't here. I think eldritch is 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 here. I think eldritch yeah, it's a skill that some things that some people get, but Eldritch knowledge is kind of a special skill. Like it gives you a certain level of protection against the horrors of the universe, but also makes you go down in humanity. Which leads me to the other thing that I really liked. They also have your backgrounds, which give you, again, you kind of choose a background, gives you your base level of what your starting skills are. But we looked at the humanity and horror system, and again, really like what they're doing here. It's not a sanity system, it's a humanity system. And the things that affect that here on camera, so you can see, it's like there's witnessing things can cause you to kind of lose your humanity, but also doing things can cause you to lose humanity. And then it applies what's called the horror threshold, and defenses against horror. Like it properly models kind of becoming desensitized to the horror, and so it makes certain things easier as you kind of hit these thresholds, and stuff below that threshold doesn't bother you as much. But I think it does it in a pretty good way. Like here, the exclamation to horror, certain things that'll let you, like, have basically sacrifice a little bit of humanity to keep from taking stress, from taking mental damage from the horrors out there. But also there are options in which you can kind of just embrace the abyss and whatnot. Surrendering to fear is also pretty interesting, because it gives you an option to basically say, like, nope, fuck this, and kind of just back away and effectively kind of protect yourself from the worst of the horror. But because you kind of surrendered to your fear, if you're not able to properly escape and it hits you again, you kind of get fucked. It's not even like being acclimated or having your thresholds or whatever will help you. Like, you thought you ran away, you thought, like, you did not want to face this thing, and all of a sudden you're trapped and you're facing it anyway. There's going to be a demoralization. The system kind of reflects that. Oh, again, very good. I'm very pleased with what I'm seeing here on the way it handles horror and fear. And finally, we're back to where we left off. Only an hour and a half into the 4-hour stream, we finally start covering something new. Once again, I'm a professional at this. Don't try this at home, folks. For the love of God, don't try this at home. I don't need the competition. So let me wet my whistle. Maybe. How much yerba mate do I have? By the way, yerba mate, can highly recommend. Good. All right. Social influence. Let's check this out. Let's see what this game. So I'm always curious. I'm always curious about social systems in games, right? We've had this conversation before, and how I get kind of like squirrely about games and that, and mind control and influence and stuff. So I'm curious to see what this game has done. Since I'm so pleased with how it's handled, like horror and humanity and whatnot, I'm really curious to see how it handles social influence. So let's see here. The presence, deception, and intimidation skills all seek to alter the behavior or beliefs of another character and are governed by some special rules based on how extreme an alteration of behavior or belief a character seeks to instill. Beyond simple deception or persuasion, social influence can also be used to instill a positive or negative feeling in the target towards a certain character, group, or other subject. Sorry, I got an email there. Allowing players to befriend unfriendly NPCs or potentially turn them against their former comrades. Their relevant skills are used as follows. Presence is rolled with charisma versus the target's discipline, focus, or stability willpower, whichever is higher. Deception, rolled with charisma versus the target's wariness. Intimidation, rolled with charisma versus the target's discipline, focus, or stability willpower, whichever is higher. And inclinations. This is a separate thing. Inclinations. Each NPC has some inclinations towards any given proposition or potential outcome, and that attitude falls into one of 7 levels as described in the following table. Table of 7 levels. With it going from a -3 that prevents the outcome or rejects the proposition, projected proposition is core to the NPC's identity. For example, a Quaker, a pacifist, and you have to convince them to murder a man in cold blood, would probably fall into a -3, right? Like that, it goes against the core of their being. all the way, and then various kind of the spectrum there, all the way to a +3, where actualizing the outcome or affirming the proposition is core to the NPC's identity, like trying to convince that same Quaker to not murder him in cold blood. Would probably, that Quaker is going to be predisposed to that very, very strongly, right? But also, again, if you're trying to convince the Quaker to not kill a person, maybe the person did something terrible to the Quaker, and maybe when you take all of that into effect, maybe lower that to +2 or even a +1, depending on how heinous the thing is or something like that. I can see this being flexible. I like that. All right, so far so good. And again, it does take into account, again, on a scale, right? On a spectrum, really, not just yes, no, flip of a switch, whether an NPC. You can basically build an NPC's set of preferences and inclinations. So I do like this. All right, so when you make a skill check using one of the social skills to alter an NPC's inclination towards some outcome or proposition, a success allows you to alter their level by 1. Oh, wait. Let me go back here. So you have the inclination. This is it. So basically, you can. It's not just a negative to your roll. Part of the process is trying to change the character's inclination towards that outcome, towards what you want them to do, which is interesting. A success allows you to alter their level by 1, either moving them up a level from 0 to +1 or down a level from -1 to -2, for instance, depending on what the intent behind your check was. However, inclinations can be moved by more than one step on the chart through the exploitation of motivations. Each motivation that you have identified, see the next section, determining motivations, and which is relevant to the social influence situation in play, director discretion, causes a successful skill check to move the NPC's inclinations an additional level. For example, if a player knows that the security guard is deeply motivated by patriotism and succeeds in convincing the guard that they are a high-level federal operative of some kind, his inclination to turn over that keycard could be moved 2 levels from -2 to +0. If 2 motivations are successfully determined and exploited as part of the case made by the player, the target's inclination can be moved by 3 levels. For example, our security guard could be convinced to swipe our PC in if the PC played on his patriotism and his fear of being seen as incompetent, making a big deal of how much of a pain in the higher-ups' collective assets it would be to have to explain this to a rent-a-cop, explain to this rent-a-cop how the world works. In any case where motivations are being exploited by an influencer and the target of the influence has another motivation, the director rules to stand in opposition to the influence being attempted. The effectiveness of social influence is reduced by 1 level of movement for each such contrary motivation. Multiple sources of influence, thus the use of more than one skill among presence, deception, and intimidation, can move the target's inclination cumulatively, resulting in astonishing changes in behavior or belief on success. Generally, a single source of influence cannot move the target's inclinations more than 1 level, save by invoking relevant motivations, as discussed above, in a single social influence scene. The player discovers a relevant motivation after already having succeeded with a given skill. They may retroactively exploit the motivation to move the NPC's inclinations 1 additional step, if the director rules the motivation to be relevant to the social influence being blah 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 blah. Determining motivations. You can't invoke a target's motivations through a social influence if you don't know what they are. Once per scene per target, you may try to get a read on a character using the empathy skill. You may either do this by engaging the target socially, observing at a distance, interact with the target. Before trying to influence them, use charisma with your empathy check. If you observe without interacting, use perception with your empathy check. You determine a number of motivations from what the director deems possible to discern in the scene, based on your success and upon how crafty or disciplined the target is. Naturally, engaging the target questions or prompts to gauge reactions to different topics makes associated motivations more likely to be deemed possible to determine. See below. Observe. Check empathy against the target's deception. Interact. Check empathy. Charisma against target's deception. Blah, 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 blah. Situational modifiers, which I'm going to kind of skip over because it's gonna matter, right? Let's see. Phoenix. But I could convince a Quaker that it was punishment and that the killing was for the safety of the whole. Right. Exactly. Like if you they may be opposed, right? They definitely like a +3 to not killing people, but that's what these roles are for. This is for you to kind of change that level of inclination towards that particular action or outcome. and you do that, like you find out what their motivations are. Like maybe another motivation is the safety of the whole, and you can use that motivation to help go like, yeah, I know you don't want to kill this person, but if you don't do it, your flock, your people, your friends, your family are going to suffer. He's going to come after them. The only way to stop him, blah 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 blah, and you know that will help you kind of like make that role, make that thing, that attempt. Social influence on player characters. Social influence cannot be used to force a change in behavior or beliefs in a player character. The system can be used in order to model what shifts might be appropriate if all associated parties are comfortable. However, the final decision on player character behavior and beliefs is always with the player. Very true. Thank you for that. And then information management. Let's see what this little sidebar is about. Player characters in the Orpheus Protocol regularly come up against surreptitious threats and deceitful characters bent on misleading them. Stealth and deception, generally rolled as checks by the entity attempting to sneak or lie using the appropriate attribute or skill, are opposed by those passive attributes, yada yada yada. Okay, players must decide how vigilant or wary the characters are without prompting by the director. This helps maintain the feeling of tension that attends situations where something might be lurking around every corner or where you just can't tell if someone's telling you the truth or not. The decision about whether or not to spend strain on being more vigilant or wary is an intentional source of uncertainty and stakes. Interesting. I like that. I kind of like that. Because, again, this is a horror game. So your players decide, like, okay, my character is going to be extra wary. You don't just state that. You don't just go like, hey, GM, you know, my dude's going to be keeping an eye out. I mean, you can just state that, but it by itself, that's not going to affect your skills, your wariness, and other stuff. You actually have to spend strain on that when it comes up. And that reflects that, no, I'm actually on edge. I'm actually keeping an eye out sharp. I like that. And I think that's okay. There's some examples. Vigilant. Okay, so there's different ways, just some sidebars, stealth with multiple characters, silence weapon kind of attacks. We'll leave it to that. I'm going to skip over a little bit of this because I kind of want to. I like what they're doing here. It's not that complicated. Again, it's all covered in just a couple of pages, and the rest is some sidebars and in specific examples. But in just 3 pages, we've got a system that takes into account the target's disposition towards the result that you want when you're trying to influence them. Also takes into account their motivations, tells you how to discover those motivations, gives you clear mechanical benefits or penalties to things, lets you use those motivations to affect their inclinations, basically gives you options to massage a person, to work with them without being crazy complicated. Right, it's just a couple of rolls. It's like, you might do a couple of rolls to determine some motivations, then you use those motivations to effectively buff you when you're actually trying to do the proper social influence role. So we're not talking dozens of rolls here. It's just like a couple of different actions, a couple of different rolls that really reflect kind of how you would do it in reality, right? You would get to know a person, you get to know their motivations. The better you know a person, the better you know their motivations, what motivates them, what moves them, and the better you know their inclinations, then you are able to effectively manipulate them a little bit better because you know what they want, you know how they think, and you know how to ask for what you want to ask or how to get them, lead them in that direction. Again, for a game that made a whole point here, made a whole point about the pillars of this game being investigation, social influence, and combat, made social influence a sort of a pillar right up there in front. Yeah, it's got a good social influence system. I'm not gonna say it doesn't. It do. All right. So, and with now we're finally up to the next level, to the next section, in which we've got some badassery, some just general badassery here. I'm real curious to see how this is gonna reflect in the game, right? Because up until now, while there's been some art and stuff, but overall everything we've been shown with the very slight exception of where is it? The Eldritch stuff. Yeah, the Eldritch knowledge, and the fact that it does like provide you with a certain level of protection from magic, but also like cost you some humanity. We haven't seen any of this. We haven't seen any superpowers, right? We haven't seen any weird abilities or anything like that. It's just basically strain from various pools and pushing yourself, but otherwise you're just some dude working, of course, for the Orpheus Protocol, but primarily just some dude. So I'm really curious to see when we're getting to this cool shit, right? All right, the combat. Oof. The combat section. Let's frickin' go. Wet my whistle once again. How we do it on time? We got about 10 minutes before the ad break. I think that's enough to at least start looking at combat. Yerba mate. I love this stuff. Not sponsored. All right. Player characters in the Orpheus Protocol often... Oh my god. It's all over now. It's all over. Here we go. Also, why am I no longer seeing my screen over here? Come on. There we go. Hey, hi. Sorry about that. Is it skewed now? No, I think it's okay. All right. Often face deadly danger. Initiative. Oh, I'm worried. I'm worried that the initiative section takes a page and a half. Well, let's see what we've got. When combat begins, and again, at the beginning of each round of combat, each participant in the combat makes an initiative check. I'm not thrilled. I'm not thrilled at the idea of having to make an initiative check every round. I personally gravitate towards just roll initiative once and that's your initiative for the rest of the fight. But also at the same time, like, yeah, I do like having the ability to reposition yourself in the initiative order. But usually I will give that like special, certain abilities, certain skills, certain actions maybe will let you effectively reposition yourself. That would be my approach. The fact that it's going like every round you have to check initiative. I mean, I'll play the game as written, right? But it feels like even more like you did a round. This was the order. Now we start another round. We roll initiative all over again, and it's like, especially if a combat's going to go multiple rounds, I feel like there is a certain level of it's nice to have it stable. Right, it's like, all right, this is the order. Let's focus on this, because there's usually so much going on in combat. So I don't know. I think this is the first part I've seen that I'm not thrilled about. That it's just like, you gotta roll initiative the beginning of each round. But then that said, maybe initiative in this game is very different. Let's find out. An initiative check is a special attribute check made using your initiative attribute. You cannot spend strain on this check. No skills apply to it either. Nothing else modifies the result of your initiative check, aside from some archetype abilities and modifiers who specifically state that they modify initiative checks. For example, we actually saw that with the skills, right? Going back here just for a moment. Come on. Get to the skills. Here we go. Where is it? No, not this one. The initiative one. Oh no, it is. Yeah, it was. So at rank B, you can spend 1 strain to reduce the initiative cost of an action by 1. So okay, we'll get to that. It doesn't actually affect your initiative; just affect your initiative cost. Okay, we haven't gotten to that. Let's actually continue, because let's see how that actually works. Is it a set of points that you then get to spend? I'm curious. Let's see. So the root, nothing else modifies this. Check is unopposed. DV of 0. You succeed. You gain a number of initiative points. Oh, okay. Yeah, I see how. Interesting. So different rounds, you'll have different levels of initiative points. Okay. So your initiative is, I believe, the derived characteristic, right? Let's see, character creation. Yeah. So here we go. Initiative is down here at the bottom. So your initiative is the sum of two highest: the focus, willpower, dexterity, and other bonuses. So let's say your initiative is like you've got two attributes at 4. Your top two highest attributes are 4. So your initiative is 8. So that means on any given round, that would have been a grand total of 9 initiative, and it's DV0. So every success is a degree of success. So even with that 8, if I had rolled -3, then my total the total number of points, each success or each result point higher than the DV is considered a degree of success. And since it's DV0, that means basically your total is how many initiative points you have. That's interesting. That round to round. So again, with a 8, that would be a 9. So on some rounds, in most rounds, you'll just have your initiative score points. But occasionally, you'll have fewer, 7, or very rarely, right, you'd have something all the way up at like 10, 11 even. So, interesting. Okay, and I guess then that's where, so now you have an set amount of initiative points, which means that then having a skill at rank B or higher, you can spend 1 strain to, however, I guess we'll see what the costs are like, but now it costs 1 point less from your initiative point bonus pool rather to do the action you're trying to do, because you're that good at it. You're just a little faster than everybody else, or for a little faster than people who don't have that level of expertise. Interesting. And if you fail, you gain 0 in. However. So I was gonna say, you do have to succeed. So you still have to. Well, no, you still have to succeed. So if your initiative score, if it's DB0, it's almost impossible to fail unless your derived initiative score is 3 or less, which would be very rare. I don't think your two highest stats would ever give you a 3 or less. So I can only imagine your initiative being that low because of other stuff. Then at that point, if you roll a -3 on your dice, on your roll, then at that point you would get 0 initiative points. But the way it's written right now, that's almost never happening, right? Which I'm good. Honestly, being able to not having any initiative points for a round is definitely something that shouldn't happen often, because that sounds not fun at all. And I don't mean just in the not fun for my character, but not fun for me as a player. Being told like, oh, I guess you're not doing anything this round. Nobody hates that. Nobody likes that. Nobody likes that, unless you're looking to escape the game anyway, in which case I guess you would. But so I guess it's good. It's just interesting, because when would this ever happen? Anyway, once you have gained your initiative points for the round, you must immediately spend. Actually, wait, give me a second. I'm just looking at this camera here. I feel like I need to pull it up just a touch here. Let's see. There we go. That's a little better, so you can get a better view of the full book. No initiative means the character was surprised. I'm guessing, right? Probably. I'm curious to see what would lower, and I guess maybe we'll see if there's anything that would lower. Actually, we're seeing something in desperation. We're going to run player finds the fewest initiative. Okay, we'll get there. But I wonder if anything would, because your initiative score is your base here, right? So it's always going to be your 2, as shown back here. It's always going to be the highest. The 2 highest of focus, willpower, and dex. So it's always going to be, again, probably like anywhere from like 5 to 8 to maybe even 10 or something like that. So it's almost impossible to end up with 0, with having completely failed a roll that way. Because again, your DV is 0, so even with a -3, you're still effectively left. If your total initiative score is a 5, even with a -3, you still have a 2. You still technically succeeded at that roll because you meet or beat the DV. Like literally, you would have to go into negatives before like it would lead to like, oh, I gained 0 initiative points. I guess I can't do anything this round. But I do wonder, if maybe getting surprised lowers your effective initiative rating. We'll see once we get to that point, or at least we will see that after these messages. It's that time. I'm looking at the clock, and it needs us to do the second ad break of the day. The first one happened at the beginning of the stream and was weird. The thing told me it was doing ads, but it didn't. But then it did. I don't know. But this is an official ad break. You know how it goes. We will, in fact, be right back. Or at least we would if I'd hit the correct button. I was on the wrong screen of my thing. We will be right back. Did I get distracted for a second? I did, but I'm back now. Hey, let's go over to the overhead real quick and keep going through our game. Press the button, and here I am now. Beautiful, beautiful. Look at me. I'm, again, very professional, very demure, very mindful. Sorry, I was distracted. I was checking my email because if all things go well, I will be playing Triangle Agency tonight, and it will be recorded for a podcast whose name I'm not allowed to say out loud yet because I have not been given permission to do that. But you can bet your sweet ass I will promo the hell out of that once it's actually out, and I'm very excited about that. But also, I just checked, I don't think I've gotten my calendar. Let me just double check that. I haven't gotten a calendar invite, I don't think, for it yet. Double check it. Maybe I did and I accepted it a while ago, and I just looked. Let me see. Come on, load my. Why is it taking so long? Oh no! I did accept it. Okay, so yeah, so I do. I have an invite. So hopefully tonight I will be playing. Which means I don't. No. I have time. Between the end of this and the beginning of that. Time enough to have dinner and rest my voice. I was thinking, like, am I going to end the stream early to give myself a little bit of extra time? I might. We'll see. We'll see how far we get here, but. Let's say that maybe, I mean, we still have a full hour now, but let's say let's think about 5:30. All right, I might end slightly early to give myself a little bit of extra time to have dinner, relax and breathe, and then because I'm excited for that. Also, that means that tomorrow we're going back. No matter how far we get on Orpheus today. Tomorrow we're going back to Triangle Agency because I will have followed the orders in the book, which was to stop reading, go play my first mission, and then come back. Tonight is that first mission, and I, for one, am very excited about it. Now, in the meantime, though, it's not that time yet. We're still talking initiative. So you roll basically however many, whatever your final total in that roll is the number of initiative points that you're going to have for that round. So I'm less angry about this in the sense that I was thinking of initiative like the way, say, D&D does, right? Where it changes your initiative order. But this doesn't appear to be an order type of thing, right? It's more of a gives you X amount of points. So the fact that can vary from round to round, well, yeah, in the chaos of combat, right? That's kind of a reasonable thing to do. Let's kind of keep reading and see what it tells us here. So once you have gained your initiative points for the round, you must immediately spend any initiative points acquired by overbought actions taken in the last combat round. More on this later. Interesting. Then the participant with the most remaining initiative points has an opportunity to act. There is a tie. The participant with the highest initiative attribute wins and has the opportunity to act. If there is a further tie, player characters go before NPCs. Players may choose amongst themselves whose character goes first, and if all else fails, remaining ties will be decided by the director. Makes sense. Nothing crazy there. When you take an action in combat, you spend initiative points, which determines the number of points you each action, there we go. You spend initiative points. Each action has an initiative cost, which determines the number of points you spend, and then hence why having a skill at a higher level will let you lower that initiative cost, and that is a good thing. Each time a participant completes their action, determine once again, who has the most remaining initiative points, resolving ties as before. The participant may take the next action. Yes, this means that one participant may be able to take several actions in a row before anyone else acts. This is why the rushed condition described later on exists, so be cautious about exploiting a very high initiative checks in this way. Interesting. So let's do a little experiment. Let's use these dice as counters, actually, instead of dice, right? So you've got, let's say we've got three characters. We've got three characters here. Here we go. We've got these three right here. One of them has 5 initiative points. One of them has 6 initiative points, and one of them has 8 initiative points. A whole bunch. All right. At the beginning of the round, and let's not worry about this overbought thing, right? Don't worry about it. So beginning of the round, this guy has the most initiative points, so they get to decide what they're going to do. Now, let's say they do an action that only costs them 1 initiative point. I don't know yet what the costs are, but let's say there's a very simple action that only costs them 1 initiative point. Then you check again. This guy still now has 7, 6, 5. So effectively, this guy would get to go again. So now let's say he does a bigger action that costs him 4 initiative points. Boom. Action resolves. Now we look again. Now the highest one is this guy with 6. So this guy with 6 now does a big move, and it costs him 5 initiative points, leaving him with only 1. Now we look again once that resolves. Now this guy has the highest initiative left, 5, 3, 1. So he would, let's say he does something relatively simple, spends 2 initiative points. Now we've got a tie between these two, so we would check. This guy, since he has such a high initiative, unless maybe he got a good roll, probably had higher initiative than this guy. So most likely this guy, the tie will resolve in this guy's guy, and he would go again. But let's say for whatever reason, maybe just this guy actually has higher initiative, just rolled poorly. So if his initiative is higher, then the tie would break in his direction. He would get to go again. Either way, let's say either one of them spends a full 3. Let's say this guy goes again because he had, in fact, higher initiative. So he gets to go again, spends his last 3 initiative points. Maybe he overspends, and now he's in debt for next round. Whatever, doesn't matter. Out of initiative points for this round. We check again. This guy has nothing he can do. He's out of initiative points. This one still has 3. This one is still down to 1. So now they get to go again. Maybe they spend their whole 3, and then finally this guy spends his 1. So the way that worked out for a single round, and again, this may be affected once we actually see the initiative points, but that's interesting, right? Because we had 1, 2, I guess, like this, whatever. 2 actions, then 3, 4. Oh, at this point, actually, we sent this one. Here we go. 4, 5, 6, 7. But it like went back. Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So you see how that worked? Like the back and forth. With 3, it's not that bad to keep track. I do worry what this would be like with more characters and more players, right? Like, how complicated would that get? Having to, after every action, kind of recheck the table and see who's now currently in the lead in initiative points. Okay, now you go next. Okay, check again. Oh, you're still in the lead. Okay, you get to go again. Like, it's a very flexible system, but it does feel like a lot of housekeeping. It does feel like a lot to keep track of round to round, I think, right? That said, even in this demo, I was able to kind of do that fairly quickly. And again, we'll see how all this stuff works, right? So let's keep going. As a note, the director should know how many initiative points each participant has at all times, and players may share this information with each other, but players might not know how many initiative points each NPC has. This means, for example, that you sometimes may not be certain whether it is safe to spend 1 more initiative point aiming, or whether you need to take your shot immediately. Interesting. If a participant does not want to take any of their actions they can afford with their remaining initiative points, they can either choose to pass or to overbuy an action, investing their next round's initiative points into an action that they cannot afford to take with this round's initiative points. If a participant passes, then they simply lose 1 initiative point. If they choose to overbuy, they spend all their remaining initiative points and take the action they've chosen. The difference between the cost of that action and the number of points they lose in this way must then be paid from their initiative points at the beginning of the next round of combat. Note that there is no hard limit on how high this difference can be. It is possible to overbuy an action by so much that you lose all of your initiative points in the next round without being able to take an action at all. If this happens, the initiative point deficit is considered cleared. No initiative points must be spent for the actions that were overbought more than 1 round prior. Once all the participants are initiative points, the combat round ends and a new round begins. Okay. So it's kind of like a push. Like, let's say like at the end of this you had 1 initiative point left and you want to take an action that costs 5 initiative points. Well, you overbuy, you take the action, your last point goes away. Next round, I think we'd established that this one had like 5 initiative points. Next round, you start with your 5 initiative points, but you started in depth. So even if the other person in this combat rolled very poorly and started with only 4 initiative points, technically you would go first normally, but because you had overbought and you were in debt, then before we even look, first thing that happens is you pay the 4 that you owed. And now this guy gets to go first because you were still overextended from the previous one. But also, let's say again, it had been the previous round, you had 1 and you spent for an action that cost 6, right? or even maybe 8. Let's go wild. That's crazy action that costs 8 action points, right? So you spend, you do the thing, next round begins, you get your 5 back at the beginning of the round, but you are still 7 points in debt. So you lose your 5 and you effectively have no initiative points this round. You get to do nothing because you're overextended that badly. Next round starts, technically you still had 1 more point of initiative that you were in debt in, but the debt never lasts based on this more than 1 round. So that third round, you would just go back to your standard 5. I like that. No need to continue punishing a player and, basically taking an entire round during which you do nothing. Fair enough to reset them, because as a general rule, you don't want to. It's bad enough that there's a chance that you might entirely miss 1 round. Making it so you might miss more than 1 round would definitely, that would get a nah, fuck that shit from me. But the way it's set up now, yeah, I'm not opposed to this. So again, it's a little bit more complicated. I'm very honestly pleased, surprised in part as well, at how different the systems in this game have been. I'm not going to say my expectations were low. No, it's low is not the word, but I really expected this game to not be terribly weird. Really, I thought this was going to be a couple of days, game, and we're gonna run. Look how much it's been. 2 days, and sure, I did spend an hour and a half talking about D&D instead. But it's we've streamed about this game for 2 days, and we've gotten this far. There's this much more that we haven't even looked at, and part of that is because these systems are very, very different, honestly, from a lot of the stuff, and not to compare it with, for example, Triangle. I've got triangles on the brain, right? Because I'm going to play Triangle Agency today, but Triangle Agency is different in a different way. Dan, I love how you just keep saying that. Anyway, Triangle Agency, for example, when you roll for Triangle Agency, you're right. That's a game in which you're not necessarily. The hell? I have to set up your what? The hell's an SWX? All right, well, whatever. We'll figure that out later. Apparently, something came in range. Where was I? Right. So in that game, right, when you roll, you're not really rolling an attribute. You're rolling to ask the agency for stuff. It's a very different approach. Here, you're still it's still sort of traditional tabletop RPG in which you're rolling, you're adding attributes, you're adding skills, you're modifying your rolls. But the actual systems are. It's a tabletop RPG from an alternate reality, kind of, where the mechanics still do the thing that you expect them to do, and they're mechanics about the things that you expect. You still have stats, you still have skills, you're still doing a roll and modifying them. But the actual systems, the way they are just different enough that they're unrecognizable to the standard one. I like this. I don't know why I like this so much. Maybe it's just the novelty factor, right? But novelty factor alone isn't enough, right? Something can be new and interesting and still suck. A system might be interesting, but not necessarily good. The vibes I'm getting from this system is that it's interesting, and hopefully, again, have not played it, right? We are discovering this as we go. But it's interesting and different and good, I hope. I do worry. This does feel like potentially a lot of housekeeping with keeping track of the initiative points. But also, folks, give me a second. I'm curious. I'm getting a weird alert on my computer, and it concerns me. Because I don't know if there's just a weird device in my home that is acting up or what. So bear with me. I'm going to do a pause real quick. I'll be right back. This is not an ad break. I'll be back in less than 60 seconds. It keeps dinging at me, and I need to deal with that because it's going to keep distracting. Bear with me. folks. I need to show you something.
Curse you
Not
all!
these. Why is it this scene? Why? But I need to show you something. Not this map, although that's a dope map. Again, cannot recommend Shay Peku's Patreon highly enough if you like the maps. But no. I need to show you. What this thing. That's the thing that I'm getting repeated alerts to connect to my computer. And I just checked out my Windows. So it looks like somebody downstairs has purchased one of these things for their car. And the range is apparently very good because I'm 3 stories up and it is repeatedly in like open Bluetooth mode telling me I should just connect to it. I've got half a mind to connect to it and start transmitting and just go like, I'm in your car, I've hacked you, give me all your bitcoins. Yeah, it's a Wi-Fi butt plug. It really is. So this Wi-Fi butt plug, Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, again, I just got the same alert. Can I somehow mute these alerts because it's very distracting? Dude, just plug it into yourself. Like, clearly whoever is doing it has no idea how to do the Bluetooth pairing themselves because it keeps trying to pair to my computer 3 stories up. Anyway, not sponsored. Don't buy one of these things apparently because your neighbors will connect to it and scare you. Again, I'm you know of those, you like them? Okay, so maybe do buy them, I guess, Phoenix. Wait, no. This thing or the Wi-Fi butt plug? I don't either way. I don't know. But it's trying to connect to my computer and I am it's if I wasn't streaming, I would have done it. I would just connect it and go like, I am in your car. And demand all their bitcoins because why not, right? I'm just gonna assume that the person downstairs has bitcoins and should be giving them to me. Anyway, I just needed to share because it's trying to connect to my computer repeatedly, annoyingly. So there. Anyway, hey, where's my thing? Here we go. Hey, let's go back to this thing. Here we are. The radio Bluetooth. Yeah, I assume. Yeah, the radio Bluetooth music player. It just looks. Oh, God damn it. It's connecting. There we go. It just looks, to be fair, like a Wi-Fi butt plug. Anyway, sorry. I kept getting the tukung because it's trying to connect, and it's like, come on, dude, just connect to it yourself. Also, PC, stop. Like, just there's it's Bluetooth. Did I turn you? No, I didn't turn you into pairing mode. Windows, stop. I know people are stupid, and you have it scanning. So it's like, oh hey, there's a new device. You want me to add it instead of like having to go in and go like, hey, go into the add Bluetooth. And I get it, but also, I've been doing this for a while. Stop it. Stop trying to help. Stop it. Get help. I hate Windows. One of these days, I'm gonna fucking escape. I'm gonna leave behind. I'm gonna be so close. I need to see if I can get the NVIDIA broadcast stuff working on OBS on Linux. If I can get that, I think that's enough. Actually, no. I just realized I have a reason to stay on Windows. Fuck. This thing, the Stream Deck thing that I'm using only works on Windows. It doesn't have like a Linux thing. Damn Windows. There's no escape. There's no fucking escape. Anyway, where were we? We're still on this goddamn page. We spent like the better part of an hour on this. I'm so good at this. If a participant, blah, blah. Okay, so we did all this thing. I did all this stuff. Blah, blah, blah. Once participants are out of initiative points, combat round ends. A new round. Okay. Spending initiative points defensively. Parry, full defense, and flee, along with various archetype abilities and other actions. Allow character to spend initiative points defensively. This means that they may spend initiative points to achieve the effect, even if they do not currently have the highest total initiative points of the entities present in order to words, even if it's not their turn to act. Okay, so it sounds like you've got 2 people. There we go. And this guy is going to try and punch this one and spends 4 points on punching. I think it's actually only 2 here. Whatever. Let's say they spend 4 points on a really big punch. This person doesn't want to take it, so they, even though it's not their turn, it's this guy's turn, they can spend initiative points. Let's say it costs, again, we're making shit up as we go along. I don't know the cost yet. But so they would spend maybe 3 points to parry that. Yaha! Yaha! Parried. Great, leaving them only with 3. And if there was a 4th guy, like this evil bug thing in the background, who had, again, they have 4. And before we spent our 3, we had 6. So, and, you know, let's say for whatever reason, this is where we were at. Whatever, for whatever reason, this is like whatever points were spent left us in this situation with this attack. So technically, you can choose to, right? You can choose to maybe not parry and just take the hit. But technically, then next round it would have been this person's turn. But if you spend the points defensively, even outside your turn, to maybe parry, maybe you don't get hit by the attack. But now you're at 3. So now when we do the math, who goes next? It's not you. It's the evil bug thing here, right? That's what it sounds like. All right. That's an oddly elegant way of handling that, honestly. Because with sort of classic, quote-unquote, initiative, right? It doesn't always do great at managing people acting out of turn. Like certain things like parries and whatever it might be, reactions. But then sometimes it's like, well, if you do that, then you don't get an action after all, right? Versus here, it's like you can choose to do that, but you'll still get an action, but it depends on how many initiative points you have left after you take your sort of defense action, as opposed to it necessarily automatically taking up your entire action. I like that. I like having the flexibility to do something, especially like defensive or healing stuff, that doesn't automatically take up my entire turn. Like there's a house rule that I've actually implemented for the D&D game that I'm running regarding potions. I think D&D 2024 actually updated this, because before, I think taking a potion would basically take your entire action by default. Like D&D 2014, I think, by default. I may be wrong about that, but my instinct is that, because I know that D&D 2024 changed it so that now you can basically quaff a potion as a bonus action, which is fine. And then, you quaff the potion, then you roll your potion healing, whatever. So one house rule that I've seen used and that I've adopted myself and I like is, if you choose to take a healing potion during combat in a round, if you spend your full action to take that healing potion, you get healed for the full effect, for the full amount. So if that healing potion heals a maximum of 10 hit points, you will heal all 10 hit points because you use your entire action for that. But if you choose to just quaff it as a bonus action and then still, take your regular action, you can, but then you have to roll it. Then it might be the low, or you might still get the full 10 hit points of healing or whatever it is. But it's a roll. It's more up in the air because it really is kind of like you're just taking what you can in the moment. You might spill some of it. You might not get it all in your mouth, or maybe you're just pouring it over your wounds to kind of disinfect. Versus like taking your full action to make sure I take the whole thing or whatever, right? It's a house rule. It's not how the game is written, but it's a house rule I've adopted, and I think it makes sense. And I like it because it gives players like an option, right? The option to go I really need this full healing and I'm willing to sacrifice my action for it. Or, you know what? No, I need to be able to smack this guy in the head with my sword as well, but also I need healing. So let's do it as a bonus action and I'll take my chances, that kind of thing, right? So yeah. Anyway, cool. What's this? Desperation. If at the beginning of a round, a player finds themselves with the fewest initiative points, and they also started the previous round with the fewest initiative points, the director should offer them the chance to act out of desperation. When acting out of desperation, the player spends 1 to 3 physical strain, gaining that many initiative points. Their next action suffers a -3 situational penalty, but spending 1 to 3 mental or spiritual strain reduces the penalty on a 1-for-1 basis. Interesting. So this kicks in. Again, so the director offers them the chance, so it's not an automatic thing. You have the chance. So basically, let's say again, we're bringing out our little guys, right? And you started this round with 4 because you don't have a high initiative and you rolled poorly. You started this round with 5. You started this round with, here we go, with 6. Boom. Cool. And that's how the first round started. Things happen. All the points get spent, but specifically this guy overspent, which means that the next round everybody resets kind of to their dip. They re-roll again. This person rolls very poorly, remains with only 4, and coincidentally, again, most rolls is going to be a 0 anyway, right? So it's very likely that this has happened, that everybody kind of comes back with the same initiative. But this guy overspent, so he actually is down 4, right? Okay, and actually, if that happens, then you're not the lowest anymore. So, okay, fine. So this guy overspent actually by 1, so now these two are at 5. You're still the lowest, right? So they'll have to figure this out, but it's the second round in a row that this player has come out at the bottom with the lowest initiative. So at that point, they can effectively act out of desperation and go like spend up to 3 physical strain. So let's say they do that, they spend full 3, and now their initiative is 7. Desperation, you get to act first this round. Now I'm curious. Their next action suffers a -3 situational penalty. Is that next action the action that they take? Like the first thing you do is like, I'm going to act out of desperation. So I spend the strain and now my initiative is this high. Now the action that I take, is that action or is it next round's action? Not entirely clear to me here. I'm going to assume it is that, like that next action, that immediate, like, okay, so now this action that I'm going to, and I get to act first, but because I'm acting in desperation, first of all, I push myself physically, so -3 strain physical, but now I'm at the high. But because I'm acting out of desperation, kind of crazy, kind of loose, whatever action I did, and let's say I spent 5, initiative points for that action is at a -3. But if I push myself further and spend up to 3 mental and or spiritual strain, I can negate that, and then my action rolls normally, not with a -3. But I ended up spending a grand total of 6 strain to make that happen. Yes, I like. Hey, yes, because, and here's why I like that so much, because it gives the player options. Right? There's a penalty, there's a cost attached to doing this, but it's possible to do that, which is in many games not possible. In many games, you just rolled poorly in initiative. That's it. Like there's really nothing you can do to kind of move up or to spend anything you can spend or anything like that to kind of like act first. Here, there's a cost. It's costly, right? You're spending this much strain to make it happen. But it really only kicks in like when the dice are kicking you in the ass. So again, going with my classic, like what happens if you're Dave? Well, what happens if you're Dave is that you can act out of desperation and still get a chance to do something, even if it's at a cost, but you get a chance to maybe like, no, I'm not going to let that guy stab me in the face before I even get a word out for a second time. I'm desperate here, so I push and I do the thing. I like that. I like that mechanic very much. Anything that gives the players more options to do things with, I'm a big fan of. Let's see. Making attacks. Finally, now we're getting some costs on what things cost to do. Making attacks. Unless otherwise specified, attacks cost the attacker 2 initiative points, and a roll that checks with the appropriate attack attribute and the relative range attack. When attack hits, it deals damage equal to the attacker's degree of success plus any weapon bonuses. For example, if Bob punches Mike and scores a 4 on his melee attack check, while Mike defends with an evade value of 2, that's 2 degrees of success for Bob, thus Mike takes 2 points of damage. If Bob stabbed Mike with a Mike using a +2 damage bonus and the same attack defense results occurred, it'd be 4-2 damage. See weapon section for details on damage bonuses. Okay, I get the basic idea. I don't know exactly what this 2-2 and 4-2 mean. What's that split there? But I guess we'll see that once we look at the weapons further. But so I like that the attack roll has damage built into it. I do appreciate it. I like systems where the damage that you do, it's all just one roll. The to hit roll is also your damage roll. So you're not having like to roll to hit. Okay, now separately roll damage, especially because it avoids that thing where it's like, aha, I rolled a 19 to hit. Fuck yeah, that's a solid hit. Roll damage. I do 2 points of damage. Like, oh, man. The heck, no. Like the better you roll, the more damage you do. That to me is a good thing because it lets you keep the hype. I ran a game last night. You may remember me mentioning that, right? And as a GM, I don't know. I guess there are DMs and GMs and guides and storytellers or whatever that kind of enjoy and get off seeing their players be like frustrated and unable to progress and do stuff. Those people are assholes, I think, because when I am running, again, it might be just me, but when I am running a game, and I've said this before, I like to think of myself as an enabler of awesome. I want my players to be having a good time, and I want them to be excited, and I want them to have cool moments and mechanics that allow a player to go like, wait, if I spend this point, I do this and I do that, then I can still do that attack. It's like, yes, if you do all these things, you can do that. Fuck yeah. And I roll and then it succeeds. Holy shit, the table goes wild, right? Like anything that gets the players hyped and into it and makes them feel like I, the player, did something to make this happen. That's a level of investment and a level of just like being in the game that I think is good to aim for. So that's what I like about this system that I'm seeing so far, that it does give the player, not just the character, but the player options. And it's all options. None of this is forced, but the player does have the option to do these things to kind of pull themselves out of a hole or to try and affect something beyond what just the dice rolls said. So I do like that very much. Special attack rules for called shots, -2 situational penalty, yada yada. I like when I like it when my players want to come back, and especially since I'm trying, I'm doing this for money, right? I'm trying to actually do this. Like, hey, it is kind of important to me. Part of the service that I provide is hopefully fun, right? I am providing entertainment. I am providing fun. And if I provide fun, it is more likely that the players will go like, that was dope. Let's do it again next week. So yeah, systems that let me get that reaction, I appreciate. All right, so a clash. When one participant in a combat makes an attack, the target of the attack may choose to turn the attack into a clash as long as they have as many initiative points as the attacker had before spending initiative points on the attack. Wait. Let me reread that. When one participant in a combat makes an attack, the target of the attack may choose to turn the attack into a clash as long as they have as many initiative points as the attacker had before spending initiative points on the attack. The defender spends whatever initiative points are required for their own attack, and both participants make an appropriate attack check. However, instead of comparing either score to a DV, the scores are compared directly to one another, because the lower score fails. Okay, fine. I get that. But specifically, the target of the attack may choose to turn the attack into a clash as long as they have as many initiative points as the attacker had before spending initiative points on the attack. So that's very specific. Again, let's take our Githyanki and our little dude, right? And that really only kicks in. So if the little dude had 6 initiative, the Githyanki had 5 initiative, little dude goes first, right? And so he does an attack, and I guess attack is 2. And then that happens. There's no way, rules as written, for this Githyanki to turn that into a clash, because before spending them, his initiative was 6, and I have 5. So I can't turn this into... The only way this happens is if I just happen to have the same amount of initiative points as this other guy, who then, for whatever reason, is going before me. So now at this point, he spends the 2 points to the attack. I had 6, he had 6, so I can choose to turn this into a clash. Defender spends whatever initiative points are required for their own attack. So, like, I'm going to take... Okay, so that's why it only kicks in. because you're basically attacking back in the moment. So if you have the same amount of initiative rather, and somebody is attacking you, since you're basically there at that moment, that's effectively like, that's your ability to react to that because you were so close there. So they're attacking, you're like, immediate like counter attack. So both of you spend this. I don't know why I'm doing this, but sure. Both of you, like, they spend their 2 to attack, so I spend my 2 to attack. And now we roll, right? And we do our rolls, and let's say, fuck it, let's do it. So you roll. Let's make them otherwise equal, right? Both of them are using the same stat and stuff. So it's just a 4 plus the results of the roll. So this guy attacks. Boy, he's got a 2. 4 minus 2, so he's a 2. You attack, and you got a +1. So 4 plus 1, 5. 5, 2. You win that clash. So even though it was this guy's attack, you clashed. Both get compared. What happens then? The effects of the clash are determined by which kinds of attacks are used by the participants and are outlined below. The defender may also provoke a clash by spending interrupt initiative points to make their own attack, even if they had fewer initiative points than they. Okay, wait. After I just went in and said, like, this only kicks in when they're evenly matched. The defender may also provoke a clash by spending interrupt initiative points to make their own attack, even if they had fewer initiative points than the attacker. Interrupt initiative points. The fact that they make it a capital I there, but I don't see, like, what's an interrupt initiative point? Book. Is that, it's a specific action? Flee, delay, evade, guard, parry, full defense, first aid, grid check, tactics, like charge, use skill, minor action, minor move, draw, move, attack, aim, reload, clash, all shots. Like, there isn't a specific interrupt action, burning, bleeding, breakdown, safety note, grid checks, first aid, comfort, updog, injury, death checks, yada yada yada, tactics. Is it in tactics? Aiming, duration, knockdown, disarm, stagger, subdue, and neutralize, tactical acumen. There's a lot of combat stuff. Very complex combat, I think. I'm just continuing because I want to see, like, is this something that gets defined later, or is that just weird wording? And honestly, at this point now, we're just looking at, weapon descriptions, and now we're out to a whole different section here. So that's might be some weird wording. The defender may also provoke a clash by spending interrupt initiative points to make their own attack, even if they had fewer. So then what's the point of, like, as long as they have as many initiative points that the attacker had before initiative points on the attack? Because you're basically saying, like, it's not a separate thing. My spending interrupted. Maybe wait. Page 56. Is this one of the errata? Nope. 62, 166, 202, 235. So not one of the errata. So I guess this restriction doesn't matter. So basically, once again, our little dudes. So if this guy had 6 initiative, we got 6 initiative, and this guy had 5 initiative, and this guy attacks and spend his 2, I can spend my own interrupt initiative points to make my own attack, even if we have, because I'm the defender, so I can just spend 2 anyway, and provoke a clash, and we see what just happened. So what's the point of this? What's the point of the saying, like, oh, only if I had at least as many, if I also had like 6, then I can do this? Since it looks like like there's nope. Okay, so this is one of the few parts in this game that I've found that's a little bit unclear. It's not a bad. I honestly, I prefer it this way, because it gives the player more options. I can choose to, like, even if I'm low, as long as I have the initiative points to spend. But it really does sound like maybe there's I mean, again, unless it gets defined somewhere. I just did a skim. Maybe it gets defined somewhere else. But unless that's defined somewhere else, it feels like this is interrupting. Like there might have been an extra cost. Like maybe because I'm acting more out of initiative, right? Like I didn't have the initiative points to do this, so maybe I have to force this. Like maybe there's a next separate mechanic in which like I have to spend a physical strain and then spend the, like maybe that's yeah, I could see that being a house rule, like going like technically like I didn't match you, so like I wouldn't have been able to go back, but I want to fight back, and you know I see your sword coming, I'm gonna turn this into a clash, so I spend a physical strain, which allows me to then spend the initiative points to make my own attack, and then that makes it a clash. I think that's a decent way of handling that. Sorry if I'm like kind of like this. I've got a little bit of a my neck's a little sore. I don't know why. So that's why I'm like so bear with me. I guess it's kind of like what, you know, I'm already home ruling this game. Anyway. So melee versus melee, winner's damage is increased by 1d3 plus 1d3 per point of toughness loser has. This instead of 2d3 per toughness if one or both of the attacks were charge attacks. Melee versus range, melee wins, winner's damage is increased by 1d3 plus 1d3 per point of toughness winner has. Melee versus range wins, winner's damage is increased by 1d3 plus 1d3 point per acuity winner has. Range versus ranged, winner's damage increased by 1d3 plus 1d3 per point of acuity winner has. Okay, so let's kind of focus on these two. The winner's damage is increased by 1d3 plus 1d3 per point of toughness loser has. This is instead of 2d3 per toughness if one or both of the attacks were charge attacks. Okay, so I guess we'll see what a charge attack is. But basically, in a clash, it sounds like if it's melee versus melee, if the loser is tougher, the tougher the loser is, the more damage they take. Versus melee, it's weird. I'm not sure the logic behind that. I'm trying to figure that one out. Like, why is it doing that? What's the reasoning behind that one? Or is that like a misprint? Because everything else is like, it's the winner's toughness or acuity that determines things. But melee versus melee, it's the loser's toughness. And the higher the toughness, the more damage they take. Right? How does that make sense? I'm not sure. Chat, let me know if that makes sense to you, but I don't get it. I don't get this one. I don't know what's going on here. All right, let's keep going with the attack, the rest of the action. So aim costs 1 initiative points, gains a +1 tactic bonus to your next attack. Reload costs 1 through 4 initiative points depending on what you're reloading. Cool. Attack basic 2 initiative points, throw a weapon 1 initiative point, or 0 if you attack immediately at a -1 situational penalty to hit. Okay, so a way to not spend initiative but have a minus penalty. One minor action for an initiative point. Minor move for 2 initiative points. A full move. Ooh, okay, there's a whole mechanic here. Let's see. So if you're doing a full move and you want to move a significant distance from your current location. So, I mean, this is kind of theater of the mind a little. So minor move is like move a very short distance through a door, 1 long stride. If you're currently in melee with enemy, you can use this action to move away and out of melee from them. This requires a check. Okay. But a big move, when you want to move a significant distance from your current location, you must take several consecutive movement actions in order to reach your desired destination. You decide to begin your movement, you may either choose to move to a new position within your own area. See the movement section for details. Okay, so we haven't gotten to that yet. Or to a new position no more than 1 area away from your current position. Make an athletics speed check and subtract your score from 8 If your score was higher than a 6, it counts as a 6 instead, so that the minimum result after subtraction is 2. If you're moving within your own area, the result is how many move actions your movement requires to complete. If you're moving outside your area, it requires that many move actions. These move actions each cost 1 initiative point, and you must devote each of your subsequent actions to them. In order to reach your desired destination, you can choose to abort your movement or any subsequent turns. If you complete the required number of move actions without interrupting them and taking another action, you reach your destination and are free to act normally on your next action. If you're taking move actions in an attempt to close the melee, then they make their own move actions to reach another area. One of the outcomes of cares. If you're blah, 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 blah. Okay, sure. So if I want to get to somebody who's far away, make an athletics speed check and subtract your score from 6. So the higher your speed, the lower this final number is going to be, but it's never lower than 2. So let's say I have athletic speed. So let's say my speed is 4. Again, we're just going to default. Speed is 4, and we roll our athletics. So we got 1, 2, 3. Here we go. We roll our athletics, base of 4, and we got a total of 3. Or if we had rolled, let's say we had rolled something like that, 4 plus 3 is 7. So would have basically anything higher than 7 is a 6. So rather anything higher than 6 is a 6. So that just comes out as a 6. As a 6, it's only 2. With what I got before, I effectively got 3. If I had rolled very poorly, right, and I got minus 4 minus 3, it's 1. So that's what I would have gotten. Just a 1. Yeah, right. That would have come out to 1, and 1 minus 8 minus 1 is 7. So I would have to move 7 points because my speed, athletic speed, is not that great, right? So then at that point, each move action is 1 initiative point. So if I rolled well and it's a minimum of 2, then I still have to spend 2 initiative to make 2 move actions to get to that place. If I rolled poorly, like that one that we just saw that had like 7, then I would need to spend 7 initiative to take 7 move actions to get where I was going, because I'm slower or clumsier or whatever. Point is, roll went bad. Interesting. So I guess we'll get to this, because it sounds like, again, like we're dealing very much with theater of the mind and like zones. Like somebody's in your immediate zone and distant zone and everything like that. So this effectively like models how, instead of just a static speed, this is always the speed I run at, like D&D and many other games. It's like, well, no, the faster you are, the better chance there is of you to be able to move quickly to someplace and still have enough initiative to do something. And if you're slow, or if you roll badly, which can reflect, like distraction in the battlefield, stuff like that, then it takes you longer to get there. Yeah, it's really interesting. I like it. I like it so far. Again, this game is doing so many things so differently from what I'm used to. But a lot of games are different for the sake of being different. And you look at their system and you go, okay, cool, I see that you're doing this differently, but it's also overcomplicated and not better than what we had before. So why do it that way, right? With this system, I wouldn't say it's different for the sake of being different. It's definitely different, but it seems pretty well thought out. It seems like it's different because they wanted to reflect certain things, certain ways, or certain things that they wanted to reflect in the game. And here's the way the system does that, like that whole movement thing. Because in a classic game where you have an actual proper grid and everything, yeah, of course everybody has a standard move. And sure, there might be things that lower your move speed or up your move speed, bonuses and penalties, whatever. But by default, you always move the same distance. here, it can vary wildly, honestly. All right. And again, you can still get there. It's just like if you're faster, it costs you less initiative points. If you're slower, it costs you more initiative points. Let's see. And there's attacks of opportunity. If you take a move action while engaged in melee, you suffer the opportunity conditions. So we'll see those conditions later on. Charge is just like moving, except that your chosen destination must be in melee with another entity. You execute the charge over the course of multiple turns, just as you would by moving. However, when you complete the last of your required move actions, you may immediately make a single attack, either unarmed or with a melee weapon. This attack does not cost any initiative points unless you only made one move action during this charge, in which case it costs 1 initiative point. You may use a tactics maneuver that is martial in nature, direct your discretion, instead of attacking. You may use a tactic attacks at the completion of a charge, but at the cost of 2 additional initiative points spent when you complete the charge. The attack, tactics maneuver, or tactics attack made at the completion of a charge suffers a -1 situational penalty to hit. You declare a charge at an entity which is already charging at you. Both of your charges resolve when either you or your target completes the last of your required move actions. At this point, both you and your target make your charge attacks, and they are resolved to the clash used as described below. You go above. Huh. Okay. So, yeah, bear with me. So, I as a player, my character is far away from the dude that I want to stab in the face. I have a decent amount of initiative points. I don't have any ranged weapons, so I decide to charge so I can get in range, stab him in the face. So doing that will require basically doing the move calculation, right? Roll your dice, subtract from 8, 2 or higher, right? And that's like, okay, cool. So that's going to cost me then at least 2 initiative points, possibly more. You spend those initiative points, assuming you have them to spend. You get close in melee range, and then you spend 1 more initiative point to actually do your attack. Or if you're doing certain things like tactics, attacks and stuff, then you spend 2, sure. All right. I mean, you kind of have to like then do the math before you charge, right? And go like, okay, wait a minute. So it's going to cost me. Now, how would you know? Because you declare the charge. Well, I guess at that point you overspend, right? That's actually, yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense that you would, in fact, overspend at that point. Like, you know what? Here we go. We've got 2 chargers. Ha ha ha. Got 2 chargers, right? And we've got, let's go, you've got 6. You only have 4, right? You charge at one another. And so you make your checks at this point. Okay, so you make your checks. Actually, again, we'll just assume everybody has the same stats, a stat of 4. So you are going to move. You're several zones apart, whatever. So you're going to move to charge him. You're going to move charge him. So first we check you, and we go, okay, well, let's do our check. So 4 minus 8, 4. So I'm going to have to spend 4 movement to complete my charge. Meanwhile, I roll, and it's 4 again, same thing. So both of us have to spend 4 movement to do our thing. But here's the thing, right? I spend 4, you spend 4. We reach each other, we clash. Okay, and since we both made move actions, there's no extra cost. Okay, there we go. This attack does not cost any initiative points unless you only made 1 move action, but we technically did 4 move actions, just like they did 4 move actions. So at this point, yeah, we both reach, and now it's a clash. Cool. So the only way that what I was thinking would have happened, which wouldn't have happened, would have been with a much lower. I guess if I had rolled. The lowest would have been a 2. Or the highest, actually, let's say I rolled very poorly. Like I rolled a minus, like a minus, -3, right? So -3 minus my minus 3 plus 4, that 1. So I would have had to spend 7 movement to get there based on that roll. So the only way to make that work would have been spend my 4 and overspend an additional 5, 6, 7, 3, and then clash happens, blah, blah, blah. And then next round, I start that round 3 initiative points in debt. So if my base pool was like 6, immediately 3 of those points get spent because they were overspent last round by me pushing myself on that charge. Meanwhile, this guy did not have to push himself on the charge, so he gets his full 6 initiative points or whatever he gets this round, right? Again, I like it. Allows players to like have the epic clash and stuff and push themselves and overspend if needed to make this happen, but not without consequence. Next round, this player that pushed themselves now has only half as many or whatever, initiative points because of the pushing themselves. Again, I like how that works. Logically, it makes sense. And I like it when things make sense logically, because not that many things make sense logically sometimes with these tabletop RPG systems. But this one, yeah, I can see why. I can see except of course for whatever this was here, this interrupt initiative points. But I can see the logic behind what's happening in these things. And that's a good sign. That's a really good sign. I like that. It's a shame that I have to pause in the process of it to take us to the ad zone. But, well, you know the drill. It's going to be the last ad break of the stream. And then when we come back, I have a decision to make whether I'm ending half an hour early or not. We'll figure that out. But in the meantime, we will, of course, be right back. Are we back? I believe we are. I hope we are. Let's see. Yes, there we go. Okay, looks like we are in fact back. Let's go to the overhead and see. So look, hi, I. Hey, sweetie, how you doing? I think we're gonna make it a short stream. I think this is gonna be the last half hour because I want to rest my voice a little. I'm about to spend probably like 4+ hours recording for a podcast and playing Triangle Agency a little bit later tonight. And I should my melodious voice really I don't want to blow it out before the stream. So I think like we're not done yet. We're not done yet. Hi, cat. Hi, sweetheart. Hi. Hi, honey. Hi. You wanna just be there? Anyway, so I think it's gonna be a shorter stream. So we'll wrap up in about half an hour. My cat's ass is going to take up half the screen as well. So not only is it a shorter stream, but also we have less real estate to deal with because my cat's ass has just been parked right there. But yeah, no, I will. Yeah, thanks, Phoenix. Thanks. Like I said, I just want to make sure that I don't push myself overly hard because commitment, right? I'm putting on a good show. I'm putting on a performance. Let's make sure that we don't go overboard. And like I said, I'm feeling like I want to do some stretching, maybe take a short walk before that, just kind of like relax, let out the tension because there is a little bit of that. Look, as much sidebar, since we're already distracted anyway, right? Since yesterday again was I just did the whole thing about the D&D game and everything. Before the game, earlier that day, almost the whole day, I'd had like this tension in the back of my neck. I was nervous, really nervous. I know that tension. I know it happens when I'm nervous about something. And then I got there. By the time I got there, it was almost entirely gone. And then I played the game, and it went well. It flowed very well. There were almost no like awkward moments or pauses. Like the game flowed very well. And I came out of there feeling great. Like the stress was gone. And I'm not even stressed about the next time. Now I'm excited about the next time that we play. And now I feel that this is the same thing. There's a part of me that's nervous about tonight because, hey, it's for somebody else, the podcast. It's people that I want to impress and I want to do well, etc., etc., etc. So this is my body's way of going like, dude, you're actually nervous about this just a little bit, aren't you? It's like, yeah. I guess I kind of am. So I think let's listen to your body, right? Listen to your body, and we'll take a little extra half hour and just a little early so that we can kind of like come in and then give our best tonight. I think that's a good path that we can follow. Hey, kitty. Can you see that on camera? Maybe. No. He's actually a good kitty. Anyway, even though she's right in the way. She's purring up a storm. You can't hear that, but she's purring so hard. All right, so overall, okay, I like the charging. Using a skill, let's keep going. Using a skill costs 3 initiative points. Oh, there she goes. Like, Dad's nerding out again. Never mind, I'm leaving. What are you? Oh, that's where that is. Give me a second. I just found something. Bear with me. Something that she had thrown on the floor earlier. There we go. Professional. Absolute professional. Sorry, the cat had thrown something on the floor earlier and I hadn't seen it. I didn't know where it was. And then she just leapt down and kind of batted it at him. Like, there it is. Give me. Before she keeps playing with it. Stop. So the downside, / good side of getting the 3D printer and making all these minis and figurines and stuff, and just kind of having a bunch of little minis and figurines around, is that the cat is, of course, like, these are my toys now. Hey, they're on a shelf. Let me knock them off. Yay! Which, I can't blame her. Cat instincts. She's gonna do, I do what I need. She does what she needs. All right, but anyway, so using a skill costs 3 initiative points. Cool. Tactics costs 2 initiative points. Take a tactics action as described later on. I'm really curious to see what those tactics actions are. A grit check is 1 initiative point, which is going to be spent defensively. Take a moment to push through pain and trauma and function briefly at closer to full capacity. Grit checks are discussed in great detail in wounds, injury, and death session later on. Again, another little example of like, if you have the resources for it, there are ways for you to choose to have your character kind of push and overcome penalties and problems. Following the David rule for this game, I'm very pleased with just how many times I keep running into mechanics where, like, hey, if you're having a bad time, right, here's a thing you can do to mitigate that. Yes. In fact, yes. So let's keep going. Let's see. First aid, 3 initiative points. Again, discussing already dealing wounds, injury, and death. Full defense, 1 initiative point spent defensively plus 1 tactics bonus to your chosen defense, evade, parry, or other if granted by abilities or other factors. Okay, so this looks like you added 2. So let's look at parry and evade and guard. So parry costs you 2 initiative points defensively to oppose an attack with your parry value, which is determined here, right? It's one of the let's see here. Your parry is, here we go. Your parry is half of your dex plus vitality. So again, doing averages of 4 because it's just like, so it'd be like 2. So your parry score by default in this, based on this math is 2. So you oppose the attack with your parry value, which is 2, as long as the attack does not designate a specific non-parry defense that must be used against it, and the director rules that a weapon can parry the attack. Right, so if you're being attacked by laser beams, you probably can't parry that with a knife or sword or whatever, right? Generally, only attacks made within melee range can be parried without specific situational director permission. You may spend 1 physical strain to boost your parry value against an attack by +1, or augment it further based on the limits set by your rank and the relevant attack skill. If you successfully parry a melee attack, your attacker loses 2 initiative points and suffers from the disadvantage on opportunity conditions. If your weapon is not drawn when the time, so you may draw it as part, but you suffer -1. Okay, wait. So, dude is coming at me with a sword. I have a sword of my own. I choose to parry. My parry value is 2. So, I spend 2 initiative points, right? Doop. Spend 2 initiative points. What are you doing? I don't even know what she's playing with down there. Probably a mini. I spend 2 initiative points, and I say I'm parrying. Cool. Yeah, she's. So I can hear her kicking something around down there. Okay, so I did that. Defense to oppose an attack with my parry value. So that means my parry value is just 2. So by spending those 2 initiative points, the attack that was coming in, I get to roll against it. So if my attacker had a score of 4 in their attack, right, and they rolled a -1, so their total attack is 3, then I rolled to parry with a base of 2, so I got 0. That's okay, so I would have taken 3. But if I roll to parry and roll the same fucking bad roll to parry with my 2, but I roll a +3, 5 versus his 4, or his 3, I guess, then I successfully parry. And if I successfully parry the attack, then the attacker, who probably just spent 2 initiative points to attack me, let's say the attacker also had like 6 and they spent 2 to attack me, got parried, get parried, scrub. It cost him an additional, so he loses 2 more initiative points because he got parried. Get good. And on top of that, he now has the disadvantage and opportunity conditions, which we'll see later, Maybe not this stream, I think. But okay. And if going back to it again, I got attacked. I had 6 AP. 6 IP initiative points, right? I spent 2 to parry, and then I've got a couple options because right now my parry is still just a base 2. So I can spend 1 physical strain to boost my parry value against an attack by 1. So spend 1 physical strain. Now my base parry value is 3. And if I decide to go full defense, I can spend an additional initiative point, and now my parry value is 4. And now that dude came at me. Let's say he rolled at 3. His final attack was 3. I'm already at 4. So now I'm much better because it did cost me, right? It did cost me. I had to spend an extra initiative point. I had to spend one strain. But again, it reflects that whole like, fuck, I really need to parry this. So like I'm pushing myself. And even this 3 plus 3, actually no, wait, in the clash, does defender win? The effects, let's see, the effects of the clash are what kind of attacks. The defender may also provoke a clash. The participant with the lower score fails, and the person with the higher score succeeds. So I guess if it's a match, no damage, nobody wins or succeeds, so nobody takes damage. So technically, so in a way, defender wins. But if I rolled this, I had a 4 and a 5, so I succeed, I win. My enemy loses their 2 initiative points and suffers these conditions. So the difference between a parry and a clash, right, is if I do a parry, I have these options, this is what it costs, etc., etc. And if I succeed, then instead of doing damage, I basically slow them down. I take initiative points away, and I lay a couple of conditions on them. If instead of parrying, I chose to clash, which is instead not just deflecting the sword, but I'm gonna stab you before you stab me. The difference with the clash is that whoever wins the clash does damage. So in the same situation, if I'd spent, and I guess it's the same kind of cause, if I spent the same but decided to do it a clash, then and had those same results on those same rolls, for whatever reason, right now, let's skip a bit of the mechanics. Then instead of the dude who attacked me losing some initiative and ending up with these conditions, the dude who attacked me would keep his normal initiative, but because I got 2 degrees of success over him, he would get hit for 2 instead of hitting me, so he would take damage. But depending on how much initiative they have, it's entirely possible that they would still get another attack because they have a lot more initiative, right? In theory. Okay. Again, options. What do you want to do? Do you want to parry or do you want to do a clash? You want to attack him back? Oh, you know what? I want to parry. Okay, cool. And there are reasons to choose one or the other mechanically. One does damage. One applies these conditions. You might actually favor the conditions because the best you're going to be able to do with damage, like 1 or 2 points, maybe. While if you apply these conditions, then the rest of your group now has a better chance to finish them off. So leads to a more tactical approach. I dig that. I appreciate that. Cool stuff. Let's see, evade. You may choose to avoid damage. So I'm gonna kind of skip a little because there's a lot of bycat, or not by. Just you're here now. You're here now. You're gonna sit down. She's gonna sit down. What is it? What do you want? I know. I see what happened here. I see what's happening here. It's 5 p.m. It's 5:22. She usually gets fed at 6. Specifically gets fed at 6 to give me time to finish my streams, right? Yesterday, I had to leave just before 5 to get to the game that I was running. So I fed her just before 5, like almost 5 on the dot. I left like 4:58 or something. So like almost 5 on the dot. She knows what time it is. Cats have like a perfect internal clock, I swear. She's like, Dad, you fed me around this time yesterday. That is now the new feeding time. So that's why she's just like doing her rounds, coming over and over and over. She's like, Dad, Dad, feeding time, Dad. Dad, feed time, feeding time, Dad. Mistakes were made. Mistakes were made. Anyway. I'm thinking I might skip a little ahead. First of all, because we have to finish the stream in just a few more minutes, specifically today, because the reasons already explained. But also, like, let's focus on things. Like, these are specific actions based on the ones we've seen. I kind of get a vibe for how things go. I like this. I like what they're doing. If I'm running this, yes, definitely I will get to know this. But right now I want to move forward, because maybe before we end, I want to see these two things, right? Areas and positioning, wounds, injury, and death. I don't know if I'm going to have time for them before we end stream, but let's go. So, areas and positioning. The Orpheus Protocol doesn't use a combat grid. Movement is handled cinematically, right? So, the first time I saw combat divided into areas like this was Fate, I think. I think Fate was the first time that I really saw like this approach to combat. I mean, Fate's been around for a long time, so this was like more than a decade ago was my first exposure to kind of the areas kind of thing. Combat is broken up into areas, which are inexact chunks of space, roughly describing how far things are from one another. The director may make a map of the areas relative to one another if it seems necessary for multi-area combat, but there should be no need for miniatures or grids. Just be sure that everyone knows generally where they are. Below are some broad descriptions to help you identify what an area might be. And this is almost, I'm not going to say word for word, because I don't have actually I do have the Fate book over there, but I'm not going to pull it out. I don't have enough time. But it's very close wording to how sort of areas and positioning and stuff is handled in Fate. So this is almost exactly like Fate at first glance, right? With the caveat that the rest of the system is nothing like Fate. But this part of it is very similar to Fate. But that's also because this has now become kind of like, this is very similar to just the default, like, yeah, if you're doing areas, if you're doing this kind of semi-theater of the mind thing, this is it. This is the way. Nothing special here, but also nothing wrong with this. This is solid here. All right, and that's what I've expected to find here, honestly. But also in combat, characters may move between and within areas using the move and minor move actions. We already saw those. Borrowing special powers of magic, you cannot move more than 2 areas in one round. Out of combat, characters can move between areas as they like. And if there's a question about how quickly, it should be generally resolved in an athletic speed check. Sure. Okay. Wounds, injury, and death. As your character becomes more and more badly wounded on a track, they take increasingly stiff penalties on checks and passive attribute values associated with that track. There are 3 levels of wound penalties, each imposed when a wound track reaches a different state, as shown here. Wound penalties generally apply to checks and passive attribute values were associated with the track, which has reached the required state. Wound penalties imposed by the state for character's clarity track apply to checks made passive attribute values for cognitive or perceptual challenges. Yada, 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 details. So basically, this is a luck result. Wait. Wound penalties count as situational modifiers for the purposes of modifier limits. When it's an attribute derived from 2 attributes that key off of separate wound tracks, you suffer from the larger of the 2 penalties. For example, evade derives from perception and dexterity, mental and physical respectively. You suffer a -1 wound penalty to evade if you suffer a -1 mental or physical wound penalty. This is a daze effect. Details of wound penalties each imposed when a wound track reaches a given state. Hey, Mac418, thank you for the follow, friend. Sorry for not having a big thing on screen pop up and celebrate. I just went on a rant at the beginning of this stream that I am bad at this, and I keep forgetting to fix that. Who knows? Maybe it'll be fixed by tomorrow. I wouldn't count on that. So here's the thing. Where's the part that it specifically says, like, each imposed when a wound track reaches a given state? Yes, but what state is that? Like, I get this. Okay, so is it in the character sheet? Let's go back. Let's see. Maybe in the character sheet, it makes that a little clearer, right? Okay, so here's the character sheet. So these are our wounds. Okay. So once the first 2 are light, then severe, then critical. So light, severe, and critical are your three levels. Right? So I'm assuming it's not explained super well here, but I think it's also kind of obvious, right? What we're doing here, which is as soon as you take a light wound, you're at -1 to stuff that is derived from those stats. So clarity would be mental, health would be physical, and stress would be charisma, willpower kind of thing, right? So rolls that involve those attributes would have penalties. If you're lightly wounded, then until your lightly wounded track is fully filled, then rolls that apply basically the blue. So it's nice that you've got the colors here, so you can actually color match and get a good idea. That's actually, you know what? Yeah, sure. You get yourself one of these. I like that. But okay, and then the more you have here, right, it might take longer to. But then as soon as you get to severe, now you're at -2s. Then once you get to criticals, now you're at -3s, right? That checks out. I've never been a big fan of wound penalties, but I get them. They make sense. They do make sense. I get them. I just don't like them, but also I'm not entirely opposed to them. Even my game has like wound penalties with wounds. But also like when playing like heroic fantasy, I do like sort of the D&D method that, you know, I've got 1 hit point left, but I'm still rolling the same as I was rolling before, right? You know, it's not till I go down. But also, you know, D&D wounds and damage and stuff, hit points are abstract, right? Like some people even interpret as like, it's not until your last hit point goes down that you actually take real physical damage, you know, in some interpretations, right? So, okay, not crazy, not bad. It's actually pretty straightforward. And we do have to wrap up almost now. So you know what? So, well, not tomorrow, right? But next time we go back into the game, we're going to look at the conditions, the status effects of daze, bleeding, which looks like they are based off of luck rolls, which is really interesting. And escalating status effects, lots of examples. So there's going to be a lot more. And you know what? This deserves especially tactics. I'm real curious to see this. Like I'm surprised actually how much detail is being given to combat in this game. But, you know, that's just how tabletop is. But there's a lot here. And I think this is going to take us an entire... At the rate we've been going, right? We've been doing 2 streams on this game. This is as far we've gone. So I think this little bit here, before we get to anything else like this, is probably its own stream. It feels like this is going to be its own stream. So good places to end, because I'm also kind of out of time. Hiccup. God damn it. Hiccups. I'm ending, I guess. So fine. Anyway, I think it's a good point to end, because then next stream that we do, Orpheus, we're going to be able to really focus on fucking our characters right up and all the various ways that the game gives us to do that, to hurt them. So let's kind of go back over here. Hey, folks. Oh, and there's my cat, and now she's moving away. Anyway, folks, I do have to wrap up because I want to take a little bit of extra time to rest my voice, have dinner, relax, and be ready for the recording that I will be doing later tonight. So tomorrow we'll be back. We won't be going back to Orpheus tomorrow. We're not done with Orpheus. Clearly, I like what I'm seeing. I like what this game is doing overall. I've been really pleasantly surprised with Orpheus Protocol and how the system works. And it's kind of given me stuff to think about, in the sense that it's a different enough system that it requires giving it some real thought. But it's not so wild that I'm like, I have no idea what they're doing. Like, it makes sense. It feels like a well-designed system. So I'm very pleased with that. But tomorrow when we come back, it's not Orpheus that I'll be talking about. Tomorrow when we come back, I'll be talking once again about Triangle Agency. We'll see how far we get on Triangle Agency, because it'll also kind of be an after-game report. I may have to talk in generalities so as not to entirely spoil the episode, because once it's been recorded and once it's out, I'm going to hype it up. I'm going to want you people to listen to it. You people, I say, you folks, my friends, my viewers, my followers. Yes, I'm definitely going to hype that up so y'all can give it a listen. But also, yeah, I'm probably going to talk about like how the game went, thoughts on how the system flowed, etc., etc., etc. So be excited for that. I know I certainly am. But until then, I am calling it a day for today. Thank you, as always, folks, so much for hanging out with me. As ever, anybody new on stream who is not familiar with my socials, I have just placed them on chat. Those are all my links and the ways to follow me on social, because that's usually where I announce when I'm going live, and if there's any changes to my schedule, those are the best places to check. I will be back tomorrow, 2 p.m. sharp. Do not miss it. Hopefully talking about how tonight's game of Triangle Unity went and deep diving them further into that game, which I'm super excited about. Other than that, I hope you all have an absolutely wonderful time. So thank you so much for hanging out with me today, and I look forward to seeing you again. Phoenix, what's that last comment here? I like systems to have penalties you reduce as you reduce hit points, but then create a death spiral, and also it's just another thing to track. Exactly. Again, it fits. It fits in with the logic here. Again, this is a horror game. It makes sense that the more beat up you are, the more like harder things become. I am scared of the death spiral, but at the same time, this game has a lot of options and a lot of ways to kind of push yourself. So I do kind of like that. It might still work. Playtesting, of course, will be the final reveal, but we'll see how that goes. Anyway, thanks again so much for hanging out, folks. I love you all, and I will hopefully see you again tomorrow. Have a good one. Goodbye.